By the way, did the lamp make the game?
Yeah, it was in the booth. Didn't make it on air.
Okay.
But it
Yeah, I
was in
did.
the booth. They felt badly because they knew that I went to great lengths and a little bit of expense to make it happen. But with their techno background, they said it really clashes. I mean, they set it up. I walked into the booth. They had its own stand. They had it right there. It was right where Joe and Troy were going to stand.
I thought when I saw the live shots, because to be frank with you, I didn't pay much attention to that football game.
It's a pretty good game.
It was. It was Christmas.
I understand.
So I watched the Open, and when I didn't see it in the
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton, on this final Monday of 2021?
Good.
Well, it was a little better than 2020.
Un petit peu.
Just a touch. Just a touch. Hope you had a great holiday weekend, and hope this final few days of 2021 are shaping up well for you and your families. How many of you still have, family around?
How many of you are still getting along with the family that's around?
Well, I wasn't going to go there. I mean, that's an in-depth question for any time of the day, never mind at 6:02.
Right after a holiday. Absolutely.
Right. Especially since if you have family around, who knows? They
could be staying with you.
And they might just even hear your thoughts. All right. You may just want to keep it to yourself until the plane. In fact, Mark, I was thinking about this yesterday. I was on a flight from Chicago to Fort Myers yesterday, and I can honestly say it's the most children I've ever seen on a plane, ever.
Not snakes on a plane.
Not snakes on a plane, no.
Would you rather have had more snakes on a plane or more kids on a plane?
No, more kids. More kids.
I know you're really afraid of snakes, but it was a loud plane from what you described.
Well, there is no doubt about it. And you knew walking on it, you're like, well, this is not going to be a restful flight. I still got in an hour's sleep.
Good for you.
Don't kid yourself. I can sleep through a crying baby. Most dads can. So,
ain't it the truth?
Yeah. 3-hour flight. I mean, make sure one of it didn't exist. But I was trying to figure out, were all these families going to visit the grandparents, or did they go north for Christmas? They opened up gifts with the grandparents, and then they were flying home on Sunday.
David, it's B, and it's a really easy one. I'm going to help you with this because, at least as far as I know, Santa would get very confused if all these kids weren't in their proper homes.
Gotcha.
Tough for Santa to get the forwarded mail list from the post office. They're very busy this time.
So you're saying actually it was the first option. They were home for Christmas. And so everybody was flying to see the grandparents yesterday.
Absolutely. They've still got, because they've got this whole week off.
I mean, babies in first class. You don't see that very often.
Not in their own seat. Were they?
No.
Okay.
But you don't see that very often. There was more than one baby in first class.
That's got to honk you off when you're forking out that kind of dough, or your company is, or you've got enough miles that you just basically sit in 1A all the time, and you get on the plane and over in 1C is mom and baby.
Now, I have to admit, as somebody who very rarely has ever made it into first class, so the flying gods got me back yesterday, because I come around the corner, they offer you the wipe, and you turn around, and right there in 1C, very first person I see on the plane is a woman and her baby, and she's holding it. And, I nod and smile, or at least my eyes did, and then
She wondered why you were looking at her.
And then I take one step forward and I make eye contact with as many people as I can in rows 2, 3, and 4. And I start smiling.
You had a blank eating grin on your face, didn't you?
I did. If you can see a blank eating grin through a mask, all right.
Oh, you can.
It was very visible.
They knew it's the eyes. The eyes tell a smile or a straight face, frown, whatever. The eyes completely can tell the smile. And they knew it, and they were cursing you.
I quickly panned the room, okay, with my eyes as if to say, welcome to first class today. It's only a 3-hour flight.
Welcome to my world.
Yep. And so I'm sitting in row 15. And sure enough, and you know me, sitting on the aisle.
Yep.
And sure enough, in row 16C, directly behind me, a mother and her already screaming baby.
Fantastic. You deserved every bit of it.
I did.
Karma is what it is.
Absolutely. I mean, here was I on December 26th, you terrible human being, you, wishing these things, okay?
It's a dadgum good point. Right. I'm glad you brought that up.
So I'm glad, the gods got me back. It took about 7 seconds.
Well, I must say, at least you made it home. I'm hearing horror stories.
Yes.
Obviously, with people being sick and contracting COVID and different things, there have been multitudes of flights canceled. And my mother-in-law rolled the dice for the second time now. We brought her down Thanksgiving, and she flew Spirit. And both the flight here and home got canceled. So she flew down the second day, and then on the way home, she was at the airport, and they canceled, and she just booked another ticket and flew home. Didn't even bother to call me, say, come get me. I'm out of here.
I'm out of here.
And while she was here, it didn't go that badly. So she said, all right, we're going to get the Christmas tickets because the price difference is astronomical.
Sure.
And I was sure that when I heard about all the flights being canceled, I went, oh no, her Uber's not going to show up. Pick her up in Pittsburgh. And sure enough, she got down. Now, who knows if she's going to ever make it home. But I was thinking about you because I know United had a few more problems. And my guess was you were flying out of Chicago. The odds are it's United. So I'm like, uh-oh. David may have a little difficulty getting back here. So I'm happy to see that you made it, at least on your scheduled flight.
Yeah, this one, I've already had the one this year where trying to get to the LSU Ole Miss game and every flight possible got canceled and had to drive it. So, hopefully you only get one of those a year. And I got mine and everything worked out okay. Although I will say very foggy Christmas Eve.
That's how the song goes, doesn't it?
I understand. And believe me, we were all singing it in our heads and I got to give. Usually, if an airline is guilty of something, it's lack of information as opposed to too much information, particularly when you're waiting. Not necessarily on the plane. The pilots will usually try to give you as much information as they can while keeping you calm. But usually when you're waiting around your gate and your flight's delayed and all that, they basically throw cliches out at you and you realize you're stuck. Something's horribly gone awry. Well, they just flat out told us, they said, hey, it's foggy in Green Bay, and we think we're going to have a little bit of an opening. And when we do, be ready. We're going to load this plane in 8 minutes, and we're going because the flight's 33. Okay, got it. So we're all hanging around, and sure enough, an hour later, they're like, time to get on the plane. Boom. And we look like the Flintstones, all running in, boom, it tips over, and then we're ready to go.
Now, I know you said they ran in, but was it actually orderly because there was information?
Were
people far more orderly because they knew? Yep. I mean, just thinking of that, you telling me that, I hate the boarding process. We used to board from the back of the plane, rows 25 through 33, rows 20 through 25. And it was very simple. Well, now with everybody's different status.
Right. Oh, yeah.
We fly by status. We don't fly by row. We fly by your weight class.
Correct.
Cruiserweights get on last and then, whatever the money division is. But if you're in that platinum club, You get to stroll. I don't care if you're in row 36. You make sure you get your overhead bag on.
Mark, on American, I'm like gold elite, and I'm like the 8th class of people who can board. Their classes have classes.
It's a joke.
Now. Right.
It's actually the one pet peeve I have of the airlines. Like, how many more different ways can we tell you it's worse than preschool Olympic events where we have to give everyone a participation trophy. I mean, that's really what it's come to.
Right.
You're gold elite.
Yes, you're gold. You're
platinum
silver.
elite.
Medallion, right? All the different names.
Right.
It's kind of like, listen, I'm sitting in row 18 on the aisle. Can we just move this along?
Yeah. First class, get on now. The rest of us, let's start in the back.
So we jam onto the plane in 8 minutes, okay, and we're gone. All right. And sometimes, O'Hare, Newark, places like that, you can sit for an hour before they let you take off. No, we're up in the air, we're gone. Okay, great. They were not kidding. I fly 80 flights a year on average. I've been on, and you as well over the years. I mean, we've been on a lot of flights. Nothing bothers me on a plane, honestly.
Right.
Nothing.
Because there's nothing you can do about it.
And the odds of something happening are staggeringly small. So nothing concerns me on a plane. But I had it in my head. It's foggy. And sure enough, I know we're trying to land. And I don't see anything, Mark. I mean, I can't see a light, nothing. And all of a sudden, I think, hey, is that a light? Is that a light? And then we break through the fog. Mark, we were 7 feet above the ground. The first time I could see anything, we were 7 feet above the runway. Honestly, I felt like I could have gotten out of the plane and held the damn thing up. All right, that's how low to the ground we were. He dropped that sucker on the runway. We were all like, thanks. Let's just get out of here. And remember, this is when the weather got better. All right, that's why they landed us, because there was so much visibility.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, worked out well. All right. Had the lamp in the booth. All right. Everybody loved it except Troy. Troy kind of had to warm up to it quarter by quarter. He's like, what is that? I'm like, what do you mean? What is that?
What? He didn't know what it was.
Not really. No. I said, what do you mean? It's fragile. Okay. And he just looks at me. He goes, you seem pretty proud of that lamp. I go, I am. It's not easy to ship it to Green Bay and get it in the booth.
Now, I was reluctantly, I say this now, I'm glad it was a hit. When you said all of this, I looked at you and went, really? I mean, in my head, I played along and I went,
I know you did.
Oh,
I know you did. About a month ago, very quickly, morale seemed low working the Christmas Day game. We were talking about it and everybody seemed like, and so I said, we need a pick-me-up. And there's 2 ways to do a pick-me-up. Some kind of gag gift or buy everybody a round of drinks at the bar. Well, since we're doing a game, the round of drinks was out. So I figured, let's have a pick-me-up. And so something Christmassy, fragile. Everybody I talked to loved the idea. I must admit, I did not ask Troy.
I wouldn't have anyhow.
Right. So
he wouldn't be my go-to to ask for funny. But I mean, to me, that we've interviewed him once on the show. I've been lucky enough to meet him with you. He comes off as a very serious individual to me.
Well, it's certainly when he's working.
But even I mean, he seems working. He seems pretty serious. Whereas his partner there, Joe,
right,
seems like he gives 2 blanks at any given time about anything.
Right, he's the leader of the circus. Right?
Yep.
And so I got to give the folks at Fox credit. They loved the idea. They gave it its own stand. When Joe and Troy showed up in the booth, they looked, and where they normally stand, there was a stand with the lamp on it lit. The guys told me on Christmas Eve night, they left it lit overnight.
In Lambeau?
In Lambeau.
Now that's awesome.
So
now someone should have got a shot of that from the stands. That's cool.
And so I thought, all right, that's cool. So I think it achieved its purpose. Those that knew about it were happy about it, the whole deal. But about once a quarter, Troy kept, would say to me, he goes, how's your lamp? And I go, lamp is great. Thanks. I would pick it up and hold it up for him and go, look, it's fragile. Just shake his head like, I got to get a new guy.
Did you tell him at least to watch A Christmas Story?
Well, I don't know what he did yesterday. Maybe he did.
I hope so.
I mean, it was probably better than much of the football. Man. Miller and Moulton. Some big wins, though, yesterday. Some big wins.
Oh, and it makes tonight rather big for somebody.
Man.
Boy, things broke well for you, Miami Doll fan.
Broke well? It's almost as if the fix was in. Man. To think a team who started 1-7 controls their playoff destiny with 3 games to go. That's bat blank crazy. Miller and Moulton, which has also been called bat blank crazy. Thanks for waking up with us. Hope you had a great Christmas. We are part of the Florida Sports Network.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Do you need legal help? Call Anajar and Levine at 1-800-747-FREE.
Naples Urgent Care is pleased to offer a new start, medically supervised weight loss.
Memphis.
That's another one I'd be looking at.
That's true. Memphis got Christmas in Hawaii with no game.
No game. Oh,
Yeah, that was the.
that's a punch.
Yeah, he fingered him right in the side of the head. The one guy and
Yeah.
touched him. He went, kind of pushed him.
Now they're toying with people throwing out patterns to offensive linemen.
Lane Johnson caught his first touchdown yesterday.
That catch by the Bears in the back of the end zone with 2 guys on him was one hell of a catch.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
I got to tell you, I was pretty surprised when all of a sudden because I'm like you, went to bed 8:30. I don't know, pretty early. I got up 3:00 in the morning, and first thing I do whenever there's a game, grab my phone, because then that determines if I have to get up now and start watching something or whatever
Right.
the case may be. And so I get up for the 3 a.m. P, and I'm like, 56.
Yeah.
I guess I can go back to bed. Boy, I mean, really? I think the Bengals were picked 4th by most people. I honestly believe that, Canada Relief. You were
No.
taking them ahead of the Browns, the Steelers, and the Ravens?
Not this year. They were a year away.
I mean, that to me would be if you want to put the question, what do we know now that we really didn't know that we didn't project preseason? The Bengals. There's not one other one I can even give you.
Yeah, Bigham. No doubt about it. Hell, right now, Arizona would play Tampa Bay.
Well, in this with the Dallas thing, and
Well,
the Rams throw a wrench
The
in it.
Rams have totally muddled it up for Tampa Bay.
Well, Arizona muddled it up for Tampa Bay, but
Because now if Dallas and the Rams went out, Tampa Bay is the 4. If Tampa can get the Rams to lose one of their last two, they'll be the 2. Meanwhile, Dallas was watching that Green Bay Cleveland game going, if Cleveland can pull this out, we can be the 1. Because their conference record's the best in the NFC.
Yeah.
What was that?
It's a commercial. I am going to text Marty after the show and say, what's going on this week? People coming in town? What?
Yeah.
I mean, if you think we're running in 7 days, a lot of crap's got to happen in 4.
Really, 3.
To be honest, 2.
2.
Today and tomorrow. Because by Wednesday, you got to be testing.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes past the hour, top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton on this final Monday of 2021. Hope you had a great holiday weekend. Thanks for starting your week off with us here on the Florida Sports Network. A lot has gone down, Mark, since we were last on the air, since we took Christmas Eve off. I mean, you can go all the way back to last Thursday night, which I'm sure seems like a very long time ago to many of you. But how about them Knights? How about UCF?
A beatdown.
Yes, it was.
A flat-out beatdown. Don't let anyone tell you any differently. They whooped them.
Yes, they did.
And good for them.
Yeah.
You saw my tweet. I picked it the other way, but good for them. A great day for the UCF program, because now they can spend these next 2 years getting ready for the Big 12 saying, we've got as good a shot as anybody.
Well, the Big 12, I mean, Cincinnati's in the playoff. UCF could have been a few years ago if they thought the way then, the way they do now.
I'll tell you, when they start doing the history of the Big 12 on the Big 12 network, David, these UCF undefeated stories are going to look great.
Yep, the 2017-18 Knights and the 2020-21 Bearcats. Really going to enjoy them in Big 12 history. You got that right. Meanwhile, something happened yesterday, hasn't happened in 14 years. I mean, all of a sudden, we're taking winning for granted in Tampa Bay. Bucks hadn't won the South since 2007. George W. Bush was president, all right?
And there it is at 6:24, your first presidential reference of the week.
I mean, it was a while ago.
Right.
It was a while ago.
Yeah, they've been bad. They went through a 20-year waiting list for season tickets in what seemed to be an off season, David.
And yeah, they had the 10-win season in 2010. And, even last year, they won the Super Bowl as a wild card. Had not won the division in 14 years, end up winning it going away. And if you're a Bucks fan, Yesterday was like, okay, now we're getting serious, boys. That's how you do it. Take a bad team and put them away.
And the way they did it, they gave up a field goal early. Carolina has been a team that's not given up a touchdown on their first drive. They stopped Tampa again, and you're like, well, okay, let's see if Carolina's got anything. And Tampa politely patted him on the head, said, hold my beer, and went and pounded him the rest of the game. So I'm with you, David. That was, and particularly without Evans, without Godwin, without Lenny, they went in, scored 32 points against a bad football team. I don't think there were a lot of questions to Arians about AB after the game, after he had 10 catches for 107. That's exactly why he's on the roster.
Yeah.
He's a bad human being. We all know that.
Right, but he's a really good football player, and they needed him with their starting receivers out.
Desperately.
Yeah. So, I mean, come on. We all knew why he was playing. I mean, Arians said early in the week, why is he coming back? Well, things have changed. Yeah, it's called their top wide receivers out injured. Things have changed. We need them. We're going to use them. Tom wanted him for a reason. Now we're putting him to good use. Besides, he's had a few weeks off this year. He owes us. And he does. Quite frankly.
Yes,
he does.
He does.
He owes the Bucks a
great deal.
This whole second, third act, whatever you want to call it.
I laugh because, they brought Le'Veon Bell into the practice squad, or, it's like it's if you had some trouble, it's like, hey, AB, can you talk to Tom? I'd like to come play with you guys. I promise I'll be a good boy.
Right. I mean, I can live at Tom's house too.
Right. I mean, look, I'll be at my best behavior. I'll say please and thank you. No. Right. I can do this.
It's 6 weeks. I mean, I can fake it anywhere for 6 weeks. But nice to see Vaughn, the second year back from Vandy, who has really struggled to earn the trust of Brady so far in his young career, has had a couple of key fumbles, has had a few key drops in the limited time he has had to prove himself, and breaks that run early, and it just kind of lifted the lid off of the Tampa Bay offense. And nice to see. Nice workmanlike, efficient performance, both sides of the ball. Get out of here with the W. Thank you very much.
All right. I just have to say this. He may end up being a great quarterback. Who knows? Maybe one day he goes to Canton. But until the Chargers prove that they're not the blank and Chargers, can we just pump the brakes on that entire organization? No one can screw things up quite like the LA Chargers. Before that, the San Diego Chargers. They moved an hour north, depending on traffic, sometimes 3. It hasn't helped one bit. They got demolished yesterday by the Houston Texans.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. That is what we call in the industry, Mark, a bad loss.
It is. It is. To the team that arguably has the best rookie quarterback playing in the league right now.
I think we're all going a little crazy, but Davis Mills has had a nice last 6 weeks.
I didn't say the best rookie quarterback. I said the rookie quarterback playing the best right now. There's a difference. He's not going to be the best quarterback when it's all said and done. Right now, he's playing better than the other rookie quarterbacks. I mean, we watched what happened. I mean, the Jets, Jacksonville, well, I don't know if we watched. Somebody watched.
Well, and it turned out to be a huge win. I mean, the Houston Texans have given a lot of gifts to the Miami Dolphins. They have. They made the Tunsil trade. They gave up all those picks, more picks than anyone else probably would have given up. And then now they beat the LA Chargers, which really helps pave the way for the Miami Dolphins. Amazingly, at 7-7, actually control their fate as to whether or not they're going to make the playoffs. If they win out, which is a tall task, but if they win out, they will definitely be in. There is nothing anyone or anything can do to stop them. Same with the Raiders, by the way. Interestingly enough, at 8-7. Now, part of the reason why they control it is because the final game of the year, they play the Chargers. But the Raiders and Dolphins control, and along with the Patriots, and New England and Miami play the final week of the year.
Now, the Raiders have the Colts and the Chargers.
Right.
It's not easy.
No, I'm not saying any of these teams have easy schedules, but the way it is all played out as we enter the final night of week, 16?
I guess
Yeah,
I'm so darn.
It's always one more than what we've played.
Right.
I know. So
week 16.
Right. 15th game of the year for both the Saints and the Dolphins.
Can I just throw out, and you can knock it and we can discuss it over the break, but for a poll question, how many wins is it going to take for the final wild card? Because as you just pointed out, if Miami wins out, if Vegas wins out, well, that's not going to happen.
Probably not. It's why they're 8-7 or
Right.
7-7. And
But
in the Dolphins' case, as we've pointed out, for them to win out would mean they'd end the season winning 9
in a row. Hey, sure, it can happen.
Well, you figure it's only a 2-number guess, though. I mean, do you think it's going to take 9
Or 10?
or 10 to make the playoffs? AFC, and you could say NFC, although it looks as if right now teams are just struggling to get to 9.
NFC, you could do 8, 9, or 10. No, you could. If I told you that the Eagles were to lose out, would you be shocked by it?
Shocked is probably too strong a word.
Surprised?
I
Yes.
would be
Shocked? No.
surprised.
Right.
I would be surprised. You know, the final week is always difficult to predict. You don't know who's going to have something to play for, who's going to be resting guys. Plus, let's face it, as we saw this week, we have no idea who's playing from hour to hour.
Totally. That's why if I'm an organization, I don't go out and make bold claims about what the future holds for my organization. You know, New York Football Giants
Yeah.
might have wanted to hold off on those statements. That's
Right.
all.
Our coach is definitely coming back. Did we just give up 31 unanswered and a half? Okay. Are we maybe the worst team in the league right now? Could we beat the Jags head to head? I don't think we could. Yeah. Do we have the worst
How do the
record?
Giants have 4 wins?
That's a great question. It's an outstanding question. I can't answer it. And I follow them pretty closely. I have no idea.
Do feel like this is the Bull Durham shower scene right here.
You know what they are, Mark? They're a bunch of lollygaggers.
David, they really are.
28 minutes before the hour. The starting 5 is next. Thanks for waking up with us this Monday after Christmas, the final one of 2021 here on the Florida Sports Network.
Golf and Fitness Power Peel at Home training system. This complete body and swing trainer uses resistance band connection system to fix bad habits and ingrain a more consistent, powerful swing. The Power Peel system is powered by functional golf swing training technology. It trains both your swing and body at the same time. Simply make a few prescribed resistant band connections, and in a few steps on the peel, you'll swing better, feel better, and play better. Use it before your round of warm-up, as your daily fitness routine, or anytime you want to feel and train the swing you've always wanted. Pair the Power Peel with the Orange Whip Golf and Fitness at Home training technology, available with a monthly membership, and maximize your results with Golf Fitness X coach-led programs that take less than 20 minutes a day. Buy the Power Peel training bundle now for 4 interest-free payments of $115 by going to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10. That's code Miller10 to save $45. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to save $45 and play better golf. Go to orangewhipgolf.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
And flips it to somebody. It's whoa.
Yeah, I mean, I just, like I have a buddy, I laugh because I had a buddy that played at Central Michigan. And I actually think if Chris had the work ethic of about 50 other people, could have played some high level football. But he was one of those kids that when he made that move, there's some people that have the shoulders, that hip and shoulder thing, and they just get open. When he did that against a guy that when he turns guys like that, that's all up, it's all that hip and shoulder. It's so cool to watch.
All I know is I was watching the Browns up close on Saturday and thinking to myself, outside of Jarvis Landry, they don't really have much at the wide receiver position.
How bad's Baker?
Well,
Is it just tough to say 'cause he's so hurt?
Well, there was two things. He hadn't practiced for 10 days. He literally flew himself to the game, and his left shoulder's in a harness. I mean, he can't throw the ball the way he normally does. It's pretty obvious.
So this, we're not going to hear anything.
Why do they swallow their whistles? Johnny O, I think in part because, quite frankly, there are so many penalties committed in the secondary, the officials get tired of throwing the flags. But yeah, Peoples-Jones got mugged on the first and fourth interceptions of the game.
Yeah, Johnny, I have so much left over. I'm really impressed with my 8-pound boneless prime rib because the wife's cousin didn't do as much damage as I thought he would do. And I will eat prime rib every day this week. I might even have Moulton over after the show one day for prime rib.
Little prime rib sandwich.
Open face. There's a lot of au jus left.
Look at that.
I had some homemade rye bread that I had it over yesterday. Got some French bread in the freezer. I'm probably going to make a French dip one day.
Well, RCB, the problem with that is the Dolphins, after tonight, play Tannehill next.
No, Johnny, it's not. It's a wonderful thing.
I think the irony would be, RCB, if the Dolphins rattle off 7 in a row, put themselves in position, and then they go to Nashville and Tannehill beats them into the ground, which I think, wouldn't this be his first game against them? Has he played the Dolphins since being dealt?
I don't believe so.
Don't remember that he has. Tell you what, though, after this week's games, you sure you don't want teams to be able to challenge anything?
Oh, stop with your challenge everything.
Hey, I mean, there were only seasons that were determined by calls and non-calls over the weekend. That's all. No big deal. No big deal.
He's got a new hill. The Vikings aren't making the playoffs, folks.
Well, and that's not the game. They deserve to lose. But the Browns got jobbed. Absolutely jobbed. Now, they helped. They put themselves in position to get jobbed, but and why they took the ball out of Nick Chubb's hands, I have no idea. He only averaged 9 yards a carry.
Oh, yeah. And Johnny, if you want, you literally could just take that rack of bone, throw it in a pot with some water, let it cook for about 4, 5, 6 hours simmering, and you've got unbelievable beef stock.
Zimmer? Yeah, I think Zimmer's going to get canned because I think the front office is going to have to protect itself.
Yeah, you can just cut us off whenever you're close. You're not going to hurt our feelings. Hey, but hey, because Chris can't do timing when their commercials are running over our open, cut their commercials.
Just cut it.
No offense. I'm like, if he can't time out what a break's supposed to look like, it's not my fault.
Plus, it makes the network sound sloppy, and I'd much rather the network sound clear.
So what I was saying, David, is he's got his morning guy live from Ford Field today, Tuesday, Wednesday studio, Thursday, Friday in Miami. We won't even hear from Marty this week. No way we have a station. No way we're ready.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton on this Monday, the final one of the year, and the Monday after the Christmas holiday weekend. Hope you all had a great time and got a chance to spend valuable time with friends and family. You still have family in town, right?
I do. My mother-in-law's here for a couple more days. Mom's here, so I mean that's about it.
Right.
Son, with the work schedule and everything, the son stayed in North Carolina. He's very anti-BC today since they canceled out on East Carolina, which could end up, David, what are we going to do here? I'll let you get to it in the starting five, but with the way the bowl games are getting canceled, are you going to be in El Paso?
Well, right now it's pending. It's looking doubtful. I mean, there are 3 teams that in the last 48 hours have had a bowl game canceled on them. Memphis on Christmas Eve.
Right.
While in Hawaii, getting ready to play Hawaii.
How many of the team were upset? Percentage of the team that was upset versus percentage of the team that said, let's party!
I think players were upset and coaches were laughing. Like, really? So we get to stay here for 2 more days on somebody else's dime? Christmas in Hawaii with no responsibilities? That's fantastic. Plane leaves Sunday morning, boys. Make sure you're on it. So Memphis looking for a bowl. East Carolina's looking for a bowl. And SMU is looking for a bowl because they've all had teams cancel on them who can't play.
I would think if you're the Sun Bowl, both Memphis and SMU would be people. I mean, just proximity, SMU especially, they could damn near bus equipment there if they had to.
So I have no idea what goes into it, the politics, the logistics. Everybody had their equipment elsewhere. Don't know how easy or difficult it is to turn it around and get it to El Paso. I have no idea. But we'll probably have to find out today, tomorrow at the latest, as to whether or not there is going to be a Sun Bowl, which is just one of the many stories in
The starting 5. 5 stories you need to know. It's the starting 5 on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Well, number 1's Tampa Bay whooping up on Carolina 32-6. Bucks improved to 11-4 on the season. Yet, despite the win, they actually dropped the spot. They're technically the 4 seed right now. AB had 10 catches in his return. Tampa, Dallas, and the Rams all tied. And right now, by conference tiebreaker, Dallas is the 2, the Rams are the 3, Tampa Bay is the 4. If you're a Bucs fan, here's what you're rooting for. You need the Rams to lose one of their final 2. And if that happens and the Bucs win out, the Bucs are the 2 because they'll end up in a head-to-head tie with Dallas and they beat them head-to-head. But right now, Tampa's the 4. Dallas is the 2, and they won by 6 touchdowns yesterday. If you missed it last night, you didn't miss a thing. 56-14. Cowboys clinch the East. Dallas is home for Arizona and at Philadelphia. Their final 2 games of the year.
By the way, the Rams will have a road game at Baltimore, home for San Francisco.
Correct.
So nothing easy for the Rams the rest of the way for the Buck fan out there.
And the Bucs arguably have the easiest schedule here. I mean, they're at the Jets and
then
home for
Carolina.
So the Rams beat the Vikings 30-23. They're now in first place in the West, something they have not been in since week 4. Remember, the Cardinals and Rams were both 3-0. Arizona beat them, and Arizona's been ahead of them pretty much ever since. Rams today are the 3 seed. Game of the day in the NFL, Foxborough. And the Bills showed up. And they went for it. They were aggressive. And Josh Allen was the best player in the universe yesterday. I don't care about Burrow's 525 yards, Dak's 300-plus yards in the first half. Josh Allen put an entire organization on his back yesterday and beat the Patriots by himself.
And for those that want him to slide, not yesterday. I mean, he pinballed off guys to get first downs. He was terrific.
That 4th down run mid-4th quarter when 2 guys had him. 33-21 Bills. Both the Bills and Patriots are 9-6. Buffalo owns every single tiebreaker on New England. They also did something, Mark, which had never been done against a Bill Belichick coach team. The Bills never punted yesterday.
Bills fans, by the way, are taking great pride in that.
As well they should. And I will say, the Bills came in and they were talking. I mean, the Bills were punks yesterday and then punked the Patriots.
Well, no. If they lost, they were punks. They were the toughest kid on the block yesterday. Because when you come in and tell them when you go into their place and tell them you're going to beat them and lose, then you're a punk. When you go into their place and you tell them you're going to beat them and you win, you're the toughest kid on the block, David.
The Bills right now are the 4 seed, however, in part because Kansas City beat Pittsburgh 36-10, and I don't even think the game was that close. Cincinnati is the 3 seed. They now have a stranglehold on the AFC North. They need 1 win in their last 2 games. Hell, at this rate, it's possible they could lose out and still win the division. 41-21 over the Ravens. Joe Burrow with the 4th highest yards passing ever in NFL history yesterday, 525.
The accuracy of my mother-in-law during a Steelers game is never that good because she gives up on them right off the bat always. Yesterday, however, she had given up very early, so much so that when we sat and had dinner, she sat with her back to the television, and my wife said, "Can we mute it?" And I said, "Absolutely."
Well, my guess is if you were having dinner around 5 o'clock, it was already 17-0.
It was.
Bengals are 9-6. The Ravens, who have lost 4 in a row, they've gone from the 1 seed, although here's the irony. Baltimore, despite losing yesterday, actually moved up to the 7 seed.
And will be the 8 seed should the Miami Dolphins win tonight.
Say that out loud again slowly.
Baltimore, the 7 seed, will be the 8 seed by morning if the Miami Dolphins win tonight.
That's right. Raiders and Dolphins, both outside the playoffs at this moment in time, both control their playoff fate. If they win out, no one and no thing can keep them out of the playoffs. And speaking of Vegas, they got a much-needed showdown win against the Broncos. I say showdown because both teams were 7-7.
Oh, and they played well.
17-13, the Raiders with the win. By the way, the Jags, it doesn't matter. They put damn near the worst teams that they could in front of them the last 2 weeks. They put Houston and the Jets. They still lost.
They played their tails off against the Jets. It was a competitive game. It's hard to say entertaining when those two teams are playing, but it was a very competitive game. We'll say the Raiders, not a lot of offense. They've not lost to Denver since they moved to Vegas, 1. And 2, gutsy call late in the game for Carr to throw the ball to seal the win.
Atlanta edged Detroit 20-16, who tried to get it done without Goff. The Giants right now are the worst team in the league. Their record is not the worst, but they are right now the worst team in the league. And Philly beat them easily 34-10. And the Eagles are the 7 seed. And even will be after tonight. If the Saints win tonight, they'll tie Philly in the standings at 8-7, but Philly's beat New Orleans head-to-head. And so Philly right now is the 7 seed.
You know, in that Giants game, they did score first. It was 3-0.
It was. It was.
Wow.
You know, the Giants averaged 2.7 yards per passing attempt yesterday.
They don't average much more than 2.7 wins a season, David.
Well, no, they are the worst team in the league over the last 5 seasons. They've won 22 games now in nearly 5 full seasons. Give it up for the Bears. I mean, you got to say this. Usually you fire a coach because you're losing and the guys stop playing for him. You could say and think whatever you want about Matt Nagy. The Bears have not stopped playing for Matt Nagy at all. They didn't stop playing for him on Monday night against the Vikings. And Chicago, down 10 points in the 4th quarter in a snowstorm in Seattle, said, we're just going to keep playing. And Nick Foles, that's right, Nick Foles leads them to a comeback win 25-24, which is good news for the Jets because they own Seattle's pick. Bad news for the Giants because they own Chicago's pick. And about as meaningful a game of 7-7 teams as we've ever had. Miami at New Orleans tonight. Ian Book for the Saints.
Right. Their 3rd string quarterback.
Actually, their 4th string quarterback.
Well, you're right because
Jameis,
Taysom,
Trevier.
Yeah.
Right.
He's only there because Jameis is out.
Right. But
so, yes.
He was their 4th quarterback for a good chunk of the season. Here you go.
Yep.
Dolphins a 3-point favorite on the road. College football, Miami drops out of the Sun Bowl. Washington State, meanwhile, had already arrived in El Paso. So their Cougars are just hanging out, going, is anybody going to show up to play us? Anybody?
Boy, usually you have to go to like Naples or St. Pete to find a Cougar. Would never imagine El Paso would be the place for them.
BC dropped out of the Military Bowl, and Virginia dropped out of the Fenway Bowl. Both those two bowl games decided to cancel, leaving East Carolina and SMU. I mean, first off, why don't they just play each other? But I digress. The Sun Bowl has not yet been canceled. They're going to take another 24 hours to see if they can find one of these other teams to come to El Paso and play Washington State. Your reward is a 4-hour infomercial on CBS. Is that worth it?
What happens if they cancel? What's CBS going to run? Last year's Sun Bowl?
I have no idea. That's a great question. It's a 4-hour block of programming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you.
In the middle of the day on
right
New Year's Eve.
Well, the first thing you do is you let your local affiliates know, hey, you got to staff that new news that we had canceled. Well, that's going to be a pain in the butt.
That's going to really upset some people.
Yeah, because people have already made vacation plans. So you got that. That's only honking off about 300 affiliates.
Right. So you're scrambling to get your new news on.
Right. Whether you do 30 or 60 or what have you. Well, and
depending on time zone.
Right. Well, and think about it. In the local CBS's case in Fort Myers, they not only do a new news, they do it 3 o'clock. Well, now they weren't going to have to do it 3 o'clock. Now they're going to have to. Oh, no, there's a lot of scrambling going on here. Hell, those anchors have already planned trips. They're out of town. Going to have to run some old soaps.
Well, that's not the case. It's not it at all. You know what that means? It means the rookie's coming out of a bullpen right now.
There's no doubt.
There is somebody. I saw a great, I think it was locally here in the Fort Myers area. I think it was an NBC gal. She was doing the Christmas newscast. And I happened to see, after the fact, her family all took pictures around the television up in Michigan. Her family all took family pictures with her on TV. I thought that was really funny.
NBA, the Heat beat the Magic yesterday by 10. COVID, the Hawks only have 10 of their players in COVID protocols. I mean, it's no big deal. They only have 15 on a roster. The Bulls, 3 players and head coach Billy Donovan. One injury of note over the weekend, Clippers' Paul George torn his UCL in his right elbow. That's his shooting elbow. He's going to try to rest for a month and then see how he feels. So the Clips could fade away here because there's no Kawhi this year, and Paul George was keeping them afloat. The NHL was supposed to resume tonight with 14 games. Yeah, they're all postponed. The league is giving everybody one extra day to hopefully get free and clear of this virus. Okay, the last game played in the NHL was last Tuesday when the Lightning beat Vegas. College hoops, by the way, there are literally only 2 games at the Division I level scheduled in the entire sport, in men's and women's college basketball today. And the fear in college basketball is, imagine what the positive COVID tests are going to look like in the next few days, after all the kids went home for Christmas break. I'm telling you right now, if you test for COVID, you will find it and you will shut down your season. And I just want to throw this out there. Not a single reported case of COVID on the Alabama, Michigan, Georgia, and Cincinnati football teams. Does anybody want to conclude why you think that is? Even though 3 Alabama coaches have come down positive for COVID, but not a single player.
Well, I'd venture to guess, but I don't think it's a good idea to put rumors like that out there, David.
Just the facts. Just the facts. And that, Mark, was...
That was the Starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
I'm sure it's just a coincidence.
Hey, they keep changing the goalpost, David. I keep saying it, and they keep doing it.
Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for waking up with us and making us part of your day on the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M, only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
All right. Is this the one that's already grossed $1 billion? Is it that Spider-Man that just came off?
Yes.
Is there more than one? Okay.
I don't think so.
All right. $1 billion already. He's got the week off. Raj is filling in this week for us.
And today, with no guests planned, all right, there's a pool amongst Miller and Moulton as to what time Raj falls asleep first. We both have picked times in the 8 o'clock hour. No pressure, Raj. No pressure. Just let it go, man. Let it go. Raj with his proud Colts shirt on, ladies and gentlemen.
That's my favorite thing, though, because Philly wears his crap every day. Let's just see what Miami crap we can wear in every day. And Raj just, no Grateful Dead shirt today, came in with a Colt shirt.
Right.
He's got his Grateful Dead cooler. Are you working across the hall after the show, or do you have another shift, or no? Okay.
I got someone to cover me over there this week, but you'll be very disappointed that I'm well rested, and that may blow up your pool.
Raj, there's well rested for you, and then there's well rested for the rest of the general population. You're not well rested, my friend. You are not.
Who is in the Quick Lane Bowl? Western Michigan, Nevada. Boy, that's one you really want when you're Nevada. Boy, Rex Ryan thinks a lot of Rex Ryan, doesn't he?
The Ryans have always been full.
Yeah,
of
I mean, I don't
Ryans.
me. I don't watch any of the ESPN shows. One, we're on the air, but this is the only bad habit of the Post is that they are also obviously anytime somebody says something about a New York team or whatever. But that's where I caught it the first time is Rex, jumping up and down about Urban getting fired. Like it was on like a
Right.
week-long just, I'm right, you can't do it. I just saw the Matt Rule thing, people, already saying Matt Rule's going to go back to college. And Antoine Staley goes, yeah, he's owed $44 million over the next 5 years. He ain't going anywhere.
Correct.
Let me just explain to you. He ain't going anywhere.
And not only that, do you know what a blow that is to the owner's ego? I mean, he's the one that gave him full control of the organization. He blew out Ron Rivera. He blew out Ron Rivera. He blew out our buddy there.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know. That was his second run. He was kind of a stopgap there, I think. Marty Kearney, right?
Yeah. Kearney. Yeah. So
Kearney, yeah, that's right.
But I love the celebrations. I'm sorry. I've always loved them. My feeling is you got 40 seconds after you score a touchdown to do whatever you want.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton on this Monday after Christmas, the final Monday of 2021. And while I don't know how much better this year was than last, it just seems as if it did go a touch faster. That's all I know. We'll be off on Friday, which is New Year's Eve. We will not be doing a show. And then after that, I have no idea when our next day off will be. It'll probably be like Memorial Day. It's something ridiculous.
Speak for yourself.
Like that. Well, no, I said hour.
Oh, okay.
We'll probably do that juggling act, or you'll take a couple and I'll fill in, and then that sort of deal.
I know the only time I need time off is in August.
Well, like I said, that's
yeah.
I mean,
now. I was actually thinking about that over the weekend, going, David and I usually take time in July. We usually take time.
Right.
I have something out west in August. So about it.
A movie shoot? Is that what you're doing? You're just going out a couple of weeks?
No, just a little time in wine country with the wife and what have you. But
Muffy and Buffy action. Okay.
Yeah, there's more to it than that, but I'm not going to bore people. All right, can I give you a fun little fact that hopefully doesn't bore people?
Go for it.
From our buddy Tim Reynolds.
Associated Press Miami, for those that don't know.
He says, Ian Book starts tonight for the Saints versus the Dolphins. It was destined. His first college competition was against the Miami Redhawks. His first college game in NFL Stadium was against the Miami Hurricanes. In his first NFL competition, his first completion will be against the Miami Dolphins.
Look at that. The Miami connection.
So don't you have to take the Saints with that?
Pair of 7-7 teams tonight. The Dolphins, a 3-point road favorite. It's a bad matchup for Miami, though. Saints defensive line, much better than the Dolphins offensive line. Dolphins struggle to find a running game anyway. Probably won't have much of one tonight.
And you can take the best Dolphin receiver off the field when you're the Saints.
Yes.
So it's a lot of Gesicki over the middle. Lattimore.
If that's who's the one they decide not to take off the field.
Right.
So I see this low scoring tonight. You got a guy making his first start on the other side. You could see where a turnover goes a long way tonight.
If I told you Miami got to 20, would you say they won?
Yes. Yes, I would. And if that's not good enough, then the defense let them down. Because, come on, you're facing – they don't have a ton of weapons either. Thomas out for the year. They never replaced the tight end. Kamara has not been what he's been in the past because he's been banged up and missed a decent amount of time. He's only averaging 3.5 yards a carry.
3.5 touchdowns a game nearly, but
right. He's still a decent fantasy play, but –
So, yeah, that's kind of the number. Miami, get to 20. You should be able to get this sucker into the barn.
I mean, hell, we just watched the Saints beat the Bucs. I don't know how many first downs they had in that game. So, real opportunity, though, for Miami. I mean, come on now. You got to admit, a real opportunity. And yes, you've earned it. You've put yourself in position, but a lot of things have now gone right around you. To think that you are 7-7 and all you have to do is worry about yourself is remarkable.
I mean, Baltimore is completely tanked it here. You'd put yourself a game behind New England that if you were to beat them in the final time, you already own that tiebreaker. So there's a lot going right for Miami.
About the only thing that went wrong yesterday for the Dolphins, if they had to choose, Mark, between the 7-7 teams that faced one another, the Raiders or the Broncos, they would have preferred that the Broncos won. Denver's conference record is much worse than the Raiders, and the Raiders have beaten the Dolphins head-to-head.
Yep.
But now that, and that really would apply more if they end up 9-8. And I will say this, so much has gone right for the Dolphins that, Mark, there's even a shot for them to make it at 9-8 if their one loss is tonight.
Correct.
And they win their last two because they're conference games.
There is part of me that would like to see them win tonight, win next week against Tennessee. So they are playing the Patriots, and it's a loser go home type match. That would make me smile. I will say, as well as everything went yesterday for Miami, and you're right, Vegas winning was the only downfall of yesterday and Saturday, for that matter, for the Miami Dolphins. It was not the same for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
No.
Because as all week, as we pointed out, Tampa was the 4, but it was a bit of a misnomer because Dallas and Arizona were going to play one another, and Tampa has the tiebreaker over the Dallas Cowboys. But Arizona's doing all kinds of Arizona-type things.
By the way, who's out Clemsoning the other, Arizona or the Chargers?
Boy, it's so close, but given the fact that the Chargers are out of the playoffs right now, you have to give the edge to the LA Chargers.
All right.
Of Clemsoning at levels. The problem is, Arizona's lost one more game, and they have they have it written on their back right now. If I were to tell you Arizona doesn't win another game this year, how surprised would you be?
I would not be shocked. They are at Dallas this coming Sunday, and then they've got Seattle, though.
They do have Seattle at home, but again,
they have a losing record at home also.
The Chargers play against Denver at home and then at Vegas.
That Chargers-Vegas game, that could be the NBC Al and Chris game, winners in, loser goes home game.
I think Al's already lobbying for that game to be the NBC game.
It would not suck to spend your last regular season game in Vegas. Al might even show up early.
But Tampa Bay, with everything that happened yesterday, despite winning, with the Rams now winning their 4th in a row, the Rams are sitting ahead of Tampa Bay for that 2 seed.
It's all based on conference record, Dallas, the Rams, and Tampa. And Tampa is the worst conference record of the 3. Dallas has the best. The Packers have to keep winning. If Green Bay, and now they're going to be favored to keep winning, but if Green Bay were to drop a game and Dallas wins out, the Cowboys are the 1.
I'm just curious, where do they have you week 18?
It's to be determined.
Because that San Francisco Rams game is going to be a biggie.
You figure, CBS is hoping to get the Vegas Chargers game, but NBC might get it. The Dallas at Philly game could have implications. It might be a win for the Eagles in their in scenario. And the Eagles are rooting really hard for the Dolphins tonight. If the Dolphins beat the Saints tonight, the Eagles, I think all they have to do is win one more and they're in. And remember, they were 2-5. So some teams have picked themselves up off the deck. While many teams are struggling, some have picked themselves up off the deck. Can I go somewhere where I don't think you or many people want me to go? How's that for a, enticing?
Well, I tell you, can you want to wait 2 minutes? Because you're supposed to do that right before the break. I don't know if that radio thing, that, my friend, was impressive. That's almost as good as the open face prime rib sandwich I'm going to have for lunch, David.
Will you please stop it already? We're an hour into the show. Now you have me hungry. People in the Twitch chat room are already commenting about it because you said, we didn't have the company eat nearly as much prime rib as I thought they would eat. And I am going to have prime rib all week.
Well, I was discussing with Johnny in the Twitch chat room who made prime rib, and we're going back and forth. That's what we do. We talk a lot of food during the commercial breaks.
Oh, did you cook it a certain way? And did you use these spices? And it was just divine.
Oh, boy. What was Christmas dinner? I forgot all about this. Everything was closed in Green Bay.
It was.
What did you end up with? Did you get White Castle or something?
God, I wish. That would have been phenomenal. What did we have? Christmas Eve. There's a restaurant directly across from Lambeau Field. Is a brand new hotel. It's about 3 years old, and then a huge mall area, and there is a big sports bar restaurant in it. And we reserved a little room, and there were about 15 of us, and they had an abbreviated menu. You had everybody got a house salad, everybody got a dessert, and you had your choice of fish, chicken, or beef. So that was that's where this whole angry voice is. It was fine, wasn't it? It was fine. And I will say,
Moulton, who will eat anything that's nailed down, saying it's fine means it was not that good. I'm sorry, David. I've been hanging around you a long damn time. When you it was fine.
It was fine.
It sucked.
It didn't suck, but it was least common denominator.
Gotcha.
There's no doubt. It barely hit the threshold. Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right. Now I understand. Now it makes a little more sense.
The only good thing is there's not a ton of traffic in downtown Green Bay.
Nope.
So it was very easy to get to. And we begged. The hotel bar restaurant closed at 8:00, and we got back there at about 7:15 from the game. Okay. And we literally all of us just took a bunch of money and threw it on the table and said, how much per hour to stay open past 8? And this one cook and one bartender basically looked at us and said, you guys better tip really well. And we said, Fox is going to tip great. What, are you kidding? And so, we got them to stay open till about 9:30.
It explains a lot.
So what
Christmas you're saying is you didn't get any prime rib around Christmas.
Oh, no, but Christmas went, no. And you do it a certain way with the au jus, and it is just divine. No, we didn't have any of that. No.
I'll make sure we get you some prime rib, David.
No, we're good.
Seems to be a problem.
When we come back,
there we go.
I am going to take you a place where you definitely don't want to go.
Green Bay.
Hello. Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Golf and Fitness Power Peel at Home training system. This complete body and swing trainer uses resistance band connection system to fix bad habits and ingrain a more consistent, powerful swing. The Power Peel system is powered by functional golf swing training technology. It trains both your swing and body at the same time. Simply make a few prescribed resistant band connections, and in a few steps on the peel, you'll swing better, feel better, and play better. Use it before your round of warm-up, as your daily fitness routine, or anytime you want to feel and train the swing you've always wanted. Pair the Power Peel with the Orange Whip Golf and Fitness at Home training technology, available with a monthly membership, and maximize your results with Golf Fitness X coach-led programs that take less than 20 minutes a day. Buy the Power Peel training bundle now for 4 interest-free payments of $115 by going to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10. That's code Miller10 to save $45. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to save $45 and play better golf. Go to orangewhipgolf.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
And I said, I can pick her up. I said, if she's in the air and I get on the road, I can damn near meet her there. It's 2 hours. I go, I got nothing till 2:00 tomorrow.
Right.
So
the difference is, David, you and I are minor league guys at heart.
Right.
And FGCU guys at heart.
Totally.
I mean, that's who we are.
Yeah.
That's just who we are.
Yeah.
So you're like, well, I want a car. I'll go pick her up. This just makes sense, where other people are like, No, you fly in, and
Well, you
but you know,
fly
I
in,
mean,
you take
they're
an
all big
Uber.
city, and I know you're a big
Right.
city, but you've lost. You're a big city guy at heart, but you've lost most of your big city because you haven't lived in one since you were 21 years old, really.
Well, and also, I've never been successful, so yeah. I mean, I have no airs about me.
But you know what I mean? Like a lot of people at work, they're all around bigger cities, so their mentality is a big city mentality. Where you and I are, you and I are
right.
Midtown. That's very different.
So EA's like, you were going to pick me up in Milwaukee. I'm like, well, EA, it was either that or you were going to have to ride in an Uber. I go, on Christmas Eve. I go, I did not want you in a stranger's car for 2 hours.
Right.
I go, we read about those stories.
Especially when it's Aaron F. and
That's what
Andrews,
I
who's
said.
already had enough. There's enough history with this woman.
I looked right at you and I go, you are kind of a big deal. I go, no. I said, I know we barely know one another. I'm not having
Her Uber Eats commercial is pretty funny.
It is.
Saw it for the first time yesterday. I don't know if that's new because I can block out a commercial with the best of them, but I thought that was cute.
Well, here's the funny thing. Fargo is bigger than Green Bay.
Not close, right?
And nicer. But Green Bay just happens to have an NFL team.
Come on. That's pretty funny. Then he throws 5 on you.
It is true, though. What's interesting is they really wanted Burrow to have the Bengals record. Boomer had it at 522, and they made sure that Burrow kept throwing till he got to 525.
They don't like Boomer, do they?
Well, I don't know if that's it or they just, he's their guy now and they're in the present, and they just wanted him to have the team record. He does have some people to throw to, though.
First off,
if those 5
Boyd's a killer. Higgins is a killer.
If those 5 guys in front of him are above average, they can do a lot of damage.
And the tight end's not half bad. In this,
I don't know if he caught that. I loved Odell doing it because Jefferson of the Vikings is the one that,
Yeah.
And so Odell caught his touchdown and did JJ's dance. I thought that was great. DC, if you ever go to Green Bay, what strikes me every time I'm in Green Bay is when I'm like 2 miles from the stadium and I say out loud, I cannot believe this town. And that's what it is. It's a town. It's not a city. It's a town. You cannot believe that an NFL team calls this place home. I mean, outside of the activity around the stadium, and there's a little bit of a downtown district, and I mean a little bit. Now, people are great.
That's what I thought. That Barrows that had that return for the Jets, because Antoine Staley put Pride to Raleigh, and I'm like, where do you go? I knew he didn't go to school with Jake, but Jake played against him, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, wow.
Went to Leesburg or Leesville, which is like the next school over.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network. The Florida Sports Network. We're off on Friday. Just letting everybody know. But we're giving you a full week. The guests return tomorrow. We didn't want to bother anybody today, to be brutally honest. Just, we ask a lot of people since we pay so well. And so we just figured, everybody can, just not be bothered by us for another day. We'll start with Pat Kerwin tomorrow, though. We're back on the guest train. Also, we just figured there's so much to talk about since we were last on the air, which was Thursday morning.
Right. We've already done one segment on UCF in Florida. We may do another before the day's over.
And UCF fans like, damn right.
Well, they might have missed the first one. It was at 6:12, 6:14 this morning, for crying out loud. They're not working.
So I teased heading into break that I'm going to take you a place where you really don't want to go. And I'm going to, I think, force people to think a little harder than they want to, A, in general, but B, certainly at 20 after 7.
Okay, I'm ready for you. Full attention.
How closely have you been paying attention to the NFL these last couple of weeks? And it's a bit of a rhetorical question, because have you noticed how many players are playing that you have no idea who they are? That there are so many guys that are being pulled off the practice squad, and hell, in the Baltimore Ravens case, just off the damn street, that are playing. And it led me to think, the NFL can truly put seemingly anybody out there in the helmet and shoulder pads, and we're all in.
Absolutely. And to your point, David, and again, there were a lot of mismatches heading into yesterday. I mean, you knew on paper that there were some bad games, but in a league where we always talk about the parity and how close games are, I don't recall having this many games decided by 10 or more. I mean, we had 7 games decided by 10 or more. We had 8 decided by 7 or more. And half the league doesn't play that way normally.
Not normally. Number one.
It was set up a lot for that.
And imagine this was baseball, basketball, hockey, or even the soon-to-be college football playoff. And you had so many mismatches because of a virus or whatever the case may be. People would be screaming about competitive balance. This isn't fair. And I'll tell you what, who punched a hole in all this? The Indianapolis Colts on Saturday night, without their entire offensive line, going to Arizona and kicking the tar out of the Cardinals. Talk about picking guys off the practice squad and damn near off the street.
Yeah, if I'm a Pittsburgh or Miami Dolphins or teams whose offensive line is struggling,
right,
I'm overpaying for this guy because they already had the best offensive line maybe in the sport.
Yeah.
So you have to believe that their line coach is pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
But they also, we thought, with Nelson and a few others, had a lot of talent on that offensive line.
Right.
So they lose the majority of that talent and still go out and block as well as they did. That's someone that's on my short list of hiring.
Right. What position do I have to offer you that's a promotion?
Right.
Can you be our associate head coach / O-line coach?
Right.
And how much money would you like? Because you literally took 3 truck drivers and just went into Arizona and steamrolled the Cardinals.
Bingo.
You're pretty good at this sort of thing. But there's just a whole bunch of guys. I mean, this is the crunch time of the NFL season. And the NFL, once again, has said, hey, we are not shutting down, all right? We are not postponing games. We are playing. Do the best you can. And you know what? If one team's only got 3 guys out and the other team's got 15 guys out, I don't know what to tell you. Tough. Life's not fair. Keep playing.
I will say, back to that Arizona game, are we completely sure that Jonathan Taylor isn't at least worthy of considering for the most valuable player? I know no one cares about awards anymore, and I'm not trying to derail your talk there, but since you brought up Arizona, it was something that was on my mind. Are we sure that a quarterback has to get this award this year?
Well, we could ask the same thing of NFL MVP, Heisman Trophy. Which one will give the award to a non-quarterback first?
I don't know. I mean, this year they decided not even to send a good running back.
Right. Walker from Michigan State.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't even get an invite.
Right. Did not even an invite. No.
And they kind of, after he had a terrible game against Ohio State, he just was off the list.
That's it.
And that was more on the coaching staff not giving him the ball than anything else. Who cares? But no, so I would say the NFL's got a slightly better shot because at least they're talking about Taylor for the MVP, and they don't even bring running backs who put up good numbers to New York.
I mean, there's been a little bit of groundswell in the last 10 days of some Cooper Kupp, Jonathan Taylor movement to try to get a non-quarterback involved in the
discussion,
MVP discussion. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's justifiable. I do. And Jonathan Taylor now, I mean, when next season starts, it's going to be, if Derrick Henry's healthy, your fantasy owners all over the country are going to be like, so which one are you taking, Henry or Taylor?
Bingo.
I mean, so that's where he is on the echelon of running backs these days. But to me, what it shows is that I think it's the only league also that we as fans are a bit blinded by it. We really are. That the NFL seemingly right now can do anything, including having teams competing for the playoffs who are clearly at a competitive disadvantage. I mean, they just are. Some teams have gotten hit harder than others. And I'm not talking about injuries. I'm talking about COVID. And we would be much more in an uproar if it were the other sports.
There's no doubt, and it is the one thing that you've always, the little phrase you use more than I do, helmets and shoulder pads, David. I'm not trying to trivialize this, but the easiest answer that I have for you is that these are covered up human beings. I don't consider hockey one of the four major sports. There are three major sports. I'm not even sure if there is but just one major sport, that there's just football and everything else now.
So there's one superpower.
Yes.
And that's it?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
But hockey's similar. And I hate bringing up hockey when we talk football because there's such a ocean between the two sports fan bases and the number of people that watch it. But I think hockey has that. You know, we've fallen in love here with the E-Bug, the emergency backup goaltender, and the kid that had to play for Toronto a couple of years ago that got the win. And it turned out to be a fun little story for whatever team was for 24 hours. But in hockey, you can bring up guys from your minor league team and play them. They put on a jersey, they put on a helmet, they score a goal. I'm just rooting for the Penguins, or I'm rooting for the Canadians, or I'm rooting for the Leafs. So I think hockey's similar, whereas when you remove the face masks, the helmets, the pads, basketball, baseball, not as much. But helmets and shoulder pads, David. I mean, yesterday, got up, walked the dog. First thing I see is a lady in her 60s with her Dallas Cowboys shirt on, walking around the neighborhood. Didn't matter who was playing. The Cowboys are playing tonight, David. That's right. What matters.
I know. 90 minutes before the game, the active/inactive list comes out. It's mandatory. Every team has to post it 90 minutes before the game. What is unspoken on that list is who's out because of injury and who's out because of COVID. If it's injury, they get listed. If it's COVID, they're not on it because they're not on the active roster. They're on the COVID roster. And it is difficult right now to keep track. Do you know the Cleveland Browns made a player move an hour and 16 minutes before kickoff on Saturday?
I have wondered, and maybe we try to go to Vegas in some way, shape, or form this week for a guest. And Lee can do it as well, and not necessarily having Lee pick games. But he said he has two staff members that are simply on Twitter. I might take a step further. I know that there's an AP writer, that a stringer at basically, I would be trying to find out who's covering games, going, can you call me with actives 90? I mean, don't you think that you could have some sort of, I don't know about advantage, David, because it is Vegas and they don't knock down casinos to build smaller ones. But don't you think just watching this 90 minutes before the game could help you make a bet?
I would think it would have to. Mark, the Browns had more guys out because of COVID than due to injuries.
And yet played their tails off.
and got hosed by the officials. Yes, should have had a much better chance to win that game at the end. Absolutely. And I do think it goes to, first off, the level of coaching in this league now is phenomenal. It just is. And that goes all the way down to the assistants and what have you. And secondly, there are more functional football players now than we've ever had before. I mean, it just is. Guys are literally picking up guys off the streets. I mean, Josh Johnson played for his third team this year yesterday for the Ravens and threw for 250 and 2 scores. I did a Thursday night game 6 weeks ago. He played for the Jets. Okay, I mean, Josh Johnson has played for 11 franchises since 2009. I mean, there are so many amazing stories about football players and their journeys and what they're going through. But literally these last 2 years, what these organizations and the thousands of football players who have become interchangeable parts in many cases, the product that they have produced for us, for our entertainment, is simply amazing. I mean, it really is. Now, it was too much for the Ravens to overcome yesterday. The week before, they were able to ham and egg it just enough, keep it together, and nearly have a chance to win. But when she took their backup quarterback away from them as well, and then all those guys in the secondary, you know, the Bengals just took too much advantage.
This had more to do with what was on the other side of the ball than it was the Ravens offense by far.
Right. The Bengals.
The Ravens offense was just fine in this football game.
Right. The Bengals flat have more weapons than the Packers. And that's why they were able to expose the Ravens even more than Green Bay could, which is frightening when you say that out loud.
Well, we talked about it during the break. This Bengals team, your line, David, if they can just be an above average offensive line, you've got Higgins, Boyd, Chase, Mixon, and Burrow. That is a pretty damn good set of players right there. That is some high-level skill guys.
Well, in between Mahomes, Allen, and Burrow, I mean, get ready. Get ready. You're going to see a lot of Buffalo and Cincinnati in 425 and 830 slots in future years, baby.
Yeah, but you were wondering a few years ago who was going to replace Brady, Manning, and Breeze. We're just fine. We're just fine in this league.
We're doing okay.
Yep.
We'll be good. Miller and Moulton. 28 minutes before the hour. Thanks for waking up with us this final Monday of 2021 on the Florida Sports Network.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M. Only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
It's just, I just love it. I just love it.
Boy, you just got 2 married texts there. We need mashed potatoes. Then another one. Hey, get some quick picks. Powerball and Mega Millions. And then the last one. Oh, yeah, love you.
You need mashed potatoes.
Mashed potatoes. Yeah, need mashed
No,
potatoes. The Bob Evans, mashed potatoes out of a store.
No,
Right. We need mashed potatoes.
No.
That's what the wife says.
No.
She loves them. What can I tell you? What can I tell you?
They showed a stat. I had this on the late.
Arch, it started just before the holiday. Okay, but last 4 or 5 days, it's gotten nuts.
They showed that was the pick on the last 4 games between these two teams have ended on the last play of the game.
Oh, wow.
It would. Thoughts on ambrosia salad? It should be blown up and never served again.
Yeah, not a fan.
It's a hell of a name to put on Jell-O and marshmallows. My Indiana guy on the other side knows what I'm talking about over there.
You got that right.
Been to enough family parties with that crap out.
Here we go.
There you go. David. He puts the best things up. Just makes me smile every time I see it.
I am not a sweet potato person, so I'm not a sweet potato fries person. Mark, your thoughts about ketchup on sweet potato fries?
I'm not a sweet potato fry person.
Spitz, they're trying to. The game was not canceled. Miami just said we can't play. Washington State has already arrived in El Paso. My guess is tomorrow at the latest they have to have. I mean, I'm curious if the CBS truck is already on its way. I'll bet it was scheduled to leave this morning. I mean, Spitz, this shouldn't be hard in this sense. There are 3 teams, Memphis, SMU, and East Carolina, who all had their bowl games canceled because of their opponents in COVID. Don't you just call those 3? And if they all say no, you're screwed. But don't you think one of them is ready to do it? I would think so. And think about who we're talking about here. Memphis, SMU, East Carolina. 3 teams who never get 4 hours on CBS.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes before the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Not just any Monday, a Monday after the Christmas weekend. Final Monday of 2021. Many of you still off. Either taking a long weekend, maybe a 4-dayer, or maybe this is part of your little 10-day break here. How many of you took off beginning, say, afternoon of the 23rd, and you're not going back till Monday, January 3rd. Good for you. Enjoy.
Never heard of it.
Come on. You've done it before. You just can't recall.
Yeah, I was a student.
Right. Like I said, you've done it before.
But I mean, you're acting like working. My father, there was times General Motors would shut down for a week, but he would get like the week off between Christmas and New Year's.
Oh, cool.
That was like a shut at some point, at some time, they'd shut the plant down for a few days, which was shocking. And he'd get a few days off. That was the only career job I know where they had a similar break to what we had as school children. That's all.
We have taken the week in between Christmas and New Year's off before.
You and I have, yes.
Yes.
And
yes.
I can't believe that we ever did.
We did. I know for a fact.
No, I know. And when you get like a Wednesday Christmas, we've done it. But I don't think we'll ever do it again as long as we're in this business. Just too many important football games now that are going on this time of year. I mean, I'm getting my everyday Orange Bowl media updates. So excited. It's like, David, it's like game notes every day on my phone.
Hey, isn't it amazing? No COVID between Alabama, Cincinnati, Georgia, and Michigan.
No.
It's amazing.
Follow-up question would be, how much testing have you done?
Now, why do you want to go there, Mark? I mean, it's a great job by the players and coaches taking care of themselves, keeping their distance, going through thousands of masks.
We should have known when Bill Hancock came out last week and said that they're going to forfeit games if teams have COVID, that testing was over at that point.
Yes. I mean, he might as well have held up a sign. Don't test then. ... Right. Just so you know, we will forfeit you to the final. Hell, we'll even forfeit you to the trophy. Yeah, like that'll go over. Right. ESPN's got a little money invested in this thing. Okay. Right. You want to talk about a change to the playoff format? It might happen midweek if they tried something like that. Hey, how's this NFL on Christmas thing working? I'm being serious for a moment.
David, I try when it's a big game, particularly a big game that you're working, to pay attention. One, I knew you brought the lamp.
Right. Fragile.
So I wanted to see if the lamp made it. And I will tell you that it was a competitive game. It was a good game. And I watched 4 plays. I watched the open to see if the lamp made it. I made a point to make sure the game was on. I was in the midst of cooking Christmas dinner.
You could have texted me. I could have let you know.
I thought about it, but here's the funny thing, David. It was Christmas. So texting you never made the top 10 of things I was attempting to do.
Look at you, really embracing the whole family thing on Christmas. Good for you.
I cook.
I understand.
If I were sitting my fat ass on the couch watching the game, I would have been texting you every 4 minutes.
I understand.
But since I am the cook in our house, I had things going on, and then we sat down, had dinner, I want to say around 6:30. And dinner lasted for about the rest of, if you know what I mean, dinner and dessert and talking and all, etc. I hardly watched. Now, I'm sure plenty of people did. I'm sure it's going to get a really good number. And if I had a Nielsen box or an Arbitron now or whatever the hell they want to call it, Nielsen box, on my television, you'd have gotten the entire game. I would have watched from start to finish, but no one was in the room watching it, if you know what I mean.
I'm just curious, and feel free to text us. And if you never have before, well, do so before 2021 is out. FSN Radio to 21,000. Or if you're watching on the Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv channel, let us know. Are you all in on the NFL on Christmas? Should this be a regular thing going forward? Because they did it last year. It got good numbers. Not sure why. Is it the pandemic? It was on a Friday last year. It was on a Saturday this year. Next year, I think it's going to be very interesting. My prediction, most of the games are going to get moved to Christmas Eve, and you're going to have the 1, maybe 2 games that are scheduled for Christmas Day.
Yeah, I think you'll have 2 or 3 Christmas Day. They might try to throw a triple header at you. If both networks like the numbers, both networks would want a game. and then the NFL Network or Amazon
Oh, that's right. Amazon.
will get a night game.
Well, that'll be the next big thing. Or are people going to watch the product that's on Amazon? Because goodness knows this is the product that we consume. Will we decide to consume it that way? But I am curious as to whether or not it's just, nah, man, it's Christmas, can't do it. Or because, they didn't kick off the game till 4:30. And how many of you, much like Thanksgiving, highest rated game basically every year is the Cowboys 4:00 game. On Thanksgiving, you still have your family, you still have your traditions and the whole deal, but many of you eat before that game. And then you're ready to take a nap and put football on.
Right. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know. This is a silly question, David, but Thanksgiving, you're right. We eat Thanksgiving dinner early. It's not unusual for people to have Thanksgiving dinner at 2:30, 3 o'clock. But Christmas dinner, is that always early too? I mean, do we eat Christmas dinner the same time we eat Thanksgiving dinner?
I don't know.
That's what I
isn't it a household thing?
But Thanksgiving's earlier everywhere.
Everyone,
even if it's later, even if you have a late Thanksgiving, you're eating at 4:30, 5 o'clock. People don't eat Thanksgiving dinner at 6:37. Christmas dinner could be much later. Could be a normal dinner, if you know what I mean.
See, and it's funny because I think Christmas dinner is earlier.
Okay.
I think most people go to church the night before, number one. And number two, if they get up and do presents, they do it early. I think Christmas is over by noon in a lot of households. 1 o'clock.
Yes. But and maybe I'm a weirdo. To me, because I've opened presents and had breakfast doesn't mean, like in our household, the daughter's up early.
Oh, of course.
6:30-ish.
How early this year? She's 7, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know. 6 a.m., yes or no?
Somewhere around 6:30, I think.
Wow.
We got up. Kept her up late.
Well, good.
Kept her up as long as we could. Swimming. I mean, as many things as you can do on Christmas Eve to keep that kid going.
I got up so early one year, Santa told me to go back to bed.
I can imagine that. But so, yeah, we had Christmas. We had, I had my bockwurst sausage that I was very excited about that Mom picked up for me because that was what we did as a kid in Michigan. And yeah, Christmas was over by noon. But Christmas dinner was at 6 o'clock.
Maybe that's our poll question. All right, because the NFL is now seemingly, it looks as if they're all in now.
I like it.
On their product on Christmas Day. They tried it last year as just a thing. And this year, obviously, they moved the game a little bit later. They put even a more mark. I will say this, if you're the NFL, how about this for a crazy idea? How about every year you have it at Lambeau?
That's your...
Well, think about it.
You get a good chance to get snow.
Well, you're right. It's winter. It's
in a small town. I mean, everything about Green Bay says Christmas to a lot of people. You know what I mean?
And I mean, let's imagine a day where the Packers don't have a Hall of Fame quarterback. I know that's difficult to imagine, but just imagine the day
Dickey
that the Packers, Don Witkowski, all right,
the magic man.
Imagine a day when the Packers don't have a Hall of Fame quarterback. I know that's very difficult to do. It's happened at least once before. And so now, Green Bay's a trendy team and that sort of deal. There may be a day, I don't know, 3-4 years down the road. Let me go out on a limb. They've got some guy like a Jordan Love from Utah State quarterbacking them. We have no idea if this guy can play or not. I mean, who knows? The Packers might be 6-8 in a game like this one year. I mean, it's possible.
It would make for, I would say, Green Bay and or Chicago,
right,
would make for great Christmas destinations.
Yes, because I think the surrounding community, much like in Detroit, the Lions have been awful for generations. They take amazing pride in that Thanksgiving game.
Always sold out.
And Dallas, all right, use that Thanksgiving game. I mean, that was a way for Dallas to try to kind of reincorporate themselves into the well wishes of America. I mean, Dallas as a city was desperately trying to overcome the Kennedy assassination and the negative feelings that people had towards its city. And they were doing everything they could to embrace themselves into, hey, this is a great place. It just had one really bad thing happen in it. and they're all in. And it doesn't matter if the Cowboys are good or bad. They're all in that day. And I do think if you're the NFL, do you give it serious consideration going forward? If you're going to do this, and it seems as if they are.
Okay, here's my only question. And I'm for it. My initial reaction is for it. But what happens when Christmas is on Wednesday?
Well, there are 2 days a week in which, if you're the NFL, you think this is a problem. And that's Tuesday and Wednesday.
I don't even know if Tuesday's a problem. I could stick one game on a Tuesday. I might not put 3 when it's a Tuesday. I might not put 2 when it's a Tuesday. I could give you one game on a Tuesday. I know you're giving a short week. We've done that. You play
Late in the year.
You play Thursdays all year long, David. You play Thursdays all year long.
I got you.
And I might just give you might have to work it that one team gets the Sunday night game and the other one gets the Monday game.
And then you stick it to one team a year.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, you could. I mean, we just had 2 games on Tuesday.
Right, you could give them back-to-back homers, too. If it's the Packers, you know that they're going to play Christmas Day on home, and they're going to play the next week at home. Or you know what I'm saying.
But Wednesday's a tough one. Once out of every 7 years, you got this game on a Wednesday. Tough to schedule it.
And you could play it on Christmas Eve that year if you wanted to, just to keep traditions alive. But that's my only...
Okay. So, but you'd be all in on this.
Yeah.
Even though you hardly watched any of, I mean, let's face it, the game the year before was Minnesota at New Orleans. I mean, which was a dog of a game. I mean, the Vikings were 6-8, 6-9, something like that. I mean,
we're not doing this for me. I want to see what the numbers are. If the numbers show it, go for it. And I love the idea of Green Bay.
I'm just thinking it's got to be A, outdoors. B, it's got to be winter. C, preferably, I'd rather the game be on grass. Okay, because potentially I'm going to have some weather, and I would like it, even though the Seattle scene was fine yesterday with the snow.
Yeah,
and
that
what
was
have
lucky.
you.
They don't normally get that.
Right.
And let me throw this at you, because networks would battle for it year to year. If it works and you only want one, I'll give you your Green Bay. You have to give me Buffalo on the other side.
We could do that. See, I think the Bills Mafia would embrace it.
Oh, I know they would. The Canadians, they don't even care.
So
they're more excited about Boxing Day.
So much like Thanksgiving, where we've got 2 places, and then they rotate the night game, but nobody really cares about that. So we're Detroit and Dallas during the day on Thanksgiving. We're only going to have at most 2 games on Christmas. So you're nominating we do
Green Bay, Buffalo.
I'm in. I don't know if Bears fan feels left out here or if they don't want any part of it.
Well, and I have no problem with Chicago either, because I think the network would love Chicago because they know that Chicago is always a good number.
Yep, they are. They don't know if Green Bay's a good number. They've had a Hall of Fame quarterback for the last 30 years. We'll find out about 2024 if Green Bay's a good number or not.
We'll ask Pat about that. Would they want Buffalo or would they want the Jets in the rotation? If you're thinking cold or New England, obviously New England would be a great draw.
See, and I would not nominate Boston or New York because I think there's a good chance that there's a lot of empty seats. The team would have to be good, I think, for the crowd to be there.
I think you're right.
Well, I need a place in Green Bay, Buffalo, and even to a large degree Chicago, where if the team's struggling, the people show up.
And then my other supplemental poll question that's coming up on the backside of this, David, is Christmas dinner. Earlier, later, the same as Thanksgiving dinner. I am very perplexed by this now.
Wow.
Christmas over by noon. Damn Scrooge. I'm sitting next to Scrooge.
The very first response we got in our Twitch chat room was, I thought the game was too late. It started at 4:30. Everybody I talked to, now granted, I'm old, but everybody I talked to, they were like, yeah, I was ready to go at 2:00.
Ready to go where?
The football game. I move on.
Oh, no, that's
Christmas was done. Let's go.
David, Christmas is never done.
What are you, the Hallmark
I
channel?
really want to play Chevy Chase with Christmas Vacation right now. Who the hell are you? Christmas is over at noon. Well, why do you even start it if you're going to end it at noon?
2 at the latest. Miller and Moulton.
Switching you because damn the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled, marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made to order crispy fries can be paired with the gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local, eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled, marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made to order crispy fries can be paired with the gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local, eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So, Seth, you liked the documentary? I did not get a chance to see it, obviously. Wonder how many people watched it. I know they promoted the hell out of it, but see, Canada Relief, I don't think you can determine the opponent. I just think you have to pick the site. You know, like the Cowboys played the Raiders this year. You know, it doesn't have to be Cowboys Washington. It doesn't have to be a division game, in my opinion. I just think you have to pick. I think it could become a cool tradition. You know, my buddy just suggested Kansas City. They would show up. They would. And it's funny. I will say, Bob, Kansas City has desperately wanted to be in the Thanksgiving rotation.
Yes, they did.
You know, so you could give them Christmas instead. That's a good alternative.
By the way, PFB, I'm right there with you. Forgot all about it. It's Christmas. Last thing I'm worried about is what's on TV. Besides, if you follow me on Twitter, daughter got a water slide for Christmas. We were at the pool. God, that's just bad football.
One defender along the
It's
sideline.
just so bad.
What the hell?
So what are we asking? Do you think Christmas on football should be an annual tradition? NFL games.
Do you like the NFL on Christmas? Yes. Okay.
Well, or
no.
should it be an annual thing?
Yeah. Should the NFL?
Do you think NFL games on Christmas should be an annual thing?
Should become an annual tradition in parentheses like Thanksgiving?
Can I put 3 yes, no, only if it falls on the weekend?
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Minute and a half past the hour. Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton on this final Monday of 2021. Hope you had a great Christmas holiday. Thanks for beginning your week with us, whether you are working today or this week or not. Thanks so much for being with us on the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Final hour for those kind enough to listen in Tampa, St. Pete. Halfway home for those of you listening in our old stomping grounds of the 239. FSN Radio is how you text the show, FSN Radio to 21,000. And if you're watching and or listening on the Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv channel, well, chime in our Twitch chat room. We finally have our poll questions up. We've kicked around about 17 different ideas for a poll question.
And it's just very simple. Do you think NFL games on Christmas should be an annual tradition? And since I typed it so badly, we're going to redo that.
Okay. Sounds good.
Sometimes I should proof what before I hit send.
It's all right. It lets people know we really are doing this thing live.
Ain't that the truth?
That's what someone told me a long time ago in the business and in local TV news. Hey, don't worry about screwing up. Then the audience realizes this is really live. Go along with it. It's when you mispronounce a word awkwardly. That's the tough one to get
Well,
out
it's
there.
why those herniated discs are so
Exactly.
problematic, David.
Exactly. Yes.
Bulging or herniated, either
Yes.
way.
Had true story, anchoring the sports for a newscast in Fargo, North Dakota, had a Mormon, I will repeat, had a Mormon as the male anchor. So he does not drink, and he certainly does not swear. And on television, he screws up shovels sitting in the driveway.
I think I know what he said.
Right. Now, here's the funny thing. My mother, the one and only time she was out in Fargo visiting us, is out visiting and is in the studio watching the newscast.
Laughing hysterically.
Well, no, she kept it together. Okay, she did. But we get to commercial break, and the male anchor is distraught that he has just cursed on television. I mean, it's right there. It's on the tape. And I told him, oh, Alan, don't feel bad. It'll make the Christmas reel. It'll be great. All right. And he is really bothered by the fact that he has just cursed on television. And remember, it was shovels sitting in the driveway. And he put an extra H.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And so my mother.
They were hitting the driveway.
Right. My mother, without hesitation, chimes in with, Alan, good thing the story wasn't about a fire truck. And I looked right at her like, Mom, you need to leave the studio now. She's like, okay. So there you go. Feel free to fill in your blanks accordingly.
Way to go, Mom.
Yep. And you'll wonder where I get it from.
My secondary poll question was going to be about Christmas dinner, but I'm just trying to figure out this. You really threw me with this whole Christmas thing.
Well, because the NFL, I mean, clearly, they scheduled it last year as, I don't want to say a lark, but it was kind of like, let's just try this. I mean, there was not a method to the madness. I'm sorry. If they're going to claim it, it's bull. There was no method to the madness. Normally, we do a Thursday night game. Christmas came on a Friday. I think they said, a standalone game on Christmas Eve at night.
Well,
I don't
Christmas
know
Eve at night.
Right,
that's
exactly.
a bad look.
Exactly. And so I think they said, man, we can't have our Thursday night football game on Christmas Eve. And I believe the NFL asked Fox. They said, would you guys be okay if we moved your Thursday night game to Christmas afternoon? And Fox, like a network says no to the NFL.
Well, first off, it says no to the NFL when you're going to get a much higher rating. I mean, Christmas Eve, I think, would be bupkis. I really do, David.
Yeah. And I'm sure that's why Fox said, yeah, sure.
I mean, Christmas Eve, obviously people go, we joke around in our house. We call them the C&E Catholics. They go to church on Christmas and Easter.
Right.
And they were all there on Christmas Eve. It was packed. 4:30.
Sure.
And, I'm sure there are other churches that go a little bit later, and then obviously midnight mass or a later mass. Christmas Eve's kind of booked.
Yes. 8 months in advance.
Christmas Day,
not so much.
And I do think, as people are talking, I think you could go with a hell of a lot closer to a noon kick on that one. You could go Fox big noon.
Now remember,
the problem is you've completely alienated the West Coast when you do that.
There you go.
So 3:00 might be the number, gets us to noon out west.
And I thought last year's Minnesota-New Orleans game was a 3-ish kickoff. Now, it was in the Central Time Zone, so it was an hour earlier. But for the East Coast, I thought the game last year was a 3 to 3:30 type of kickoff. They pushed it back to 4:30 Eastern this year.
We'll find out. They know what the numbers are. They'll know minute by minute, hour by hour, so they know what they want to do.
Now, they put also a sexier game on paper. Last year's game was Minnesota with a losing record at New Orleans. This game, obviously, was Cleveland at Green Bay. I mean, that's a sexier game.
Absolutely.
And it was a Saturday. For those that are asking, we've said it once before, but obviously people coming in and out of the show, it is my belief we will not know this until late April. Schedule comes out mid to late April. But it is our belief that next year what the NFL will do with Christmas being a Sunday is they will play the majority of games early on Christmas Eve. There will be a ton of 1:00 games and just a small handful of 4:25 games on Christmas Eve, and all of those being out west, so it's also 1-ish. And then they'll play 1 or 2 select games on Christmas Day that will be highlighted the way that this year's games were highlighted. And so I know we are preparing. When I say we, I mean the quote-unquote A team of Buck Aikman, Aaron Andrews, Tom Rinaldi, and crew that follow them. We are preparing now to work Christmas Day every year the way we know we have to work Thanksgiving Day every year.
Be very interesting when the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday Christmases come. I don't know how you play a Wednesday game.
Well, and also since we believe these games are doing very well ratings-wise, I mean, I'll bet you Fox and ESPN argue when it's scheduled for a Monday. Fox is going to be like, hey, that's our game. ESPN's going to be like, no, it's on a Monday night.
And you'll get 2.
It could be.
You'll get 2 next year. You'll get a Fox or a CBS game, maybe one of each, and then you're going to get an Amazon game. Remember, there was nothing that I said there that should catch you off guard. You're going to get a CBS game, you're going to get a Fox game, and you're going to get an Amazon game next Christmas. Just like next year on Thanksgiving, you're going to get a CBS game, you're going to get a Fox game, and you're going to get an Amazon game.
So basically, are you digging this NFL on Christmas thing? Or are you like, once was cute, but no. Mm-mm. It works on Thanksgiving. It doesn't work for me on Christmas.
I think they will. I would vote against it. I think the numbers show, for me personally,
it doesn't work for you.
It doesn't work for me.
Fair
But
enough.
But if I'm also in a league office, I'm going, yeah, this doesn't work for me, but you need to keep doing this because the numbers show that it works.
Well, and that's our belief that it's going to keep on keeping on. But we're asking you, does this work for you? And for what it's worth, I am of the belief that if you're going to do this, and basically now the NFL is saying to the NBA, we gave you your cute little tradition of the NBA on Christmas for a generation, and now we're taking it from you.
Yeah.
In
fact, this has worked well enough that we are going to steal it.
Sorry. You had your little run. I don't know. Maybe take on college football on New Year's Day. I don't know what to tell you, but we're taking Christmas from you. It was cute while it lasted. But I think that they should pick a city or two. My buddy Bob, who's watching and listening to us in the Twitch chat room there, he said, how about Kansas City? And for those that have paid attention, Kansas City has desperately wanted to be a part of the Thanksgiving tradition for a long time in the NFL, and the NFL has kept them at arm's length. Is your turnaround to Kansas City? Because, Mark, that's another outdoors, on grass,
cold,
wintry, and a fan base that will show up no matter how the team is doing.
No, I mean, I first nominated Buffalo for the AFC team. Kansas City would draw strong consideration, given the fact, too, as you mentioned, they wanted Thanksgiving.
Yep.
And the league said, no, we're going to stick with Detroit.
Yeah, we're good. Detroit and Dallas is working. They came through for us when we really needed them, and we're not going to go away from them.
So I love the idea of Kansas City. Buffalo's the other one in the AFC. I think you have to have destinations. I think you mentioned Green Bay. I brought up Chicago. You and I both don't think New York and Boston would work. I don't know if Chicago would work on Christmas. I think it would.
We were talking about what if they build that new stadium, which is going to be out near the airport. What's it, the Arlington Heights, where the racetrack is? And the talk is that, the Bears have bought up a bunch of land, and they're probably going to do that. There's already been talks, apparently, with the railroad there about, is it a good stop and all that. So that's likely where the Bears are moving. They're going to move from outside the city limits for the first time in their history. And
that is not going to go over well.
Well, it's part of the big tradition of you could be downtown at all the bars and what have you, and literally thousands of fans walk to the game. And, sometimes it's 3/4 of a mile walk, and it's like, it's 20 minutes. Let's go.
Man. Also, but I mean, it's not like it's being played at a stadium without history.
Although I will say, talk to a Bears fan, you can't find 6 of them that like what they did with it.
Really?
Yeah. Don't like it at all.
The redo was bad?
Hate it. Honestly, cannot find anybody who likes the redo.
Interesting. That just seems to me, being a Michigan native, when the Lions moved from Tiger Stadium to the Dome, it never worked. It never worked.
Now,
40 minutes away from downtown.
I understand.
No, they were always bad, but there were some good Dome teams there. Gary played in a few teams that were good. There was a few good teams after that. I get that the franchise has always been lousy. But the same thing, really with the Pistons, when they moved all the way to Auburn Hills. When they were great, it was easy. But when the team wanes, you're a long way away. You're out of sight, out of mind.
Yep.
And this just in, David. The Bears have a lot more bad than they do good in modern times. I hate the idea of them moving out of Chicago. Hate it.
RCB in our Twitch chat room, it's much better with the NFL than the NBA on Christmas because if nothing else, the games are meaningful this time of year. And that is something that we as a society, as we evolve with more distractions and less time, we have certainly cast our vote for. We need our games to have some meaning to them. We're not all that interested in just throwing stuff on TV because. And that is what a lot of the other regular seasons run up against. The NFL, with every game meaning so much more, really benefits. 14 minutes after the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
It's been a great start to the NFL. The official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the free prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M. Only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to
I'm just wondering if you say,
Yeah, I could cancel it. What am I supposed to do?
I don't know.
It's actually a pretty good deal. That's the
Okay.
other problem. I mean, it's like,
I'm just wondering if you could.
that's why I said, how long are we looking at? I put the deposit out on November the 30th. November the 30th, David. I'm supposed to have the car on the 15th.
Can you say to him, I'll give you to 5 o'clock Tuesday?
It's not him.
Oh.
I mean, I'm giving an ultimatum to a guy who wants to sell me the car and make a commission.
I understand, but then, he can say to his boss, listen,
It's
we're
not
about
his
to
boss.
lose
It's
the
not.
sale.
It's drivers. The car's in Tampa. They don't have anybody to drive the truck from Tampa to here. That's what it is.
How about this? Can you?
I can't because it's got to go to the dealership.
Gotcha.
See, if that were the case, I'd have been in Jacksonville 2 weeks ago picking the car up.
I was going to say, how about this? I drive you to Tampa. You drive the car to the dealership.
Lost my whole sense of humor about this.
Golf cart's still a pimp move, though.
Thank you. Problem is, I can't take it to the grocery store or a few places I can't get to. Like anywhere that's not within a half mile of my house. Guy says we call them Cape Catholics. Christmas, Ash Wednesday, Palm Sunday, Easter. That's really funny. I mean, that is really flippin' fun. CAPE.
O-P.
Palm Sunday.
Cape, like it.
I said Palm Sunday and Ash Wednesday are big too. Anytime you get something for free, like a t-shirt at a Blades game.
Hello.
Hey, it's my mother-in-law. She said, well, if they're giving something away, it's ashes on your head. They show up. Telling her line, no, Philly's on vacation, dead. He's gotten over it. The only thing he screws up right and left, doesn't buy his breakfast, then leaves for a week.
Fortunately for him, it was negotiated beforehand. He got the job. He's like,
Because next year, there's a good chance on Christmas Day, he's in here punching buttons or hiring someone to do it. Because it'll probably be the last time that we don't air shows. I'd imagine we're getting pretty close to having to air a show every day now.
say this.
Ooh, Chiefs Bengals this week.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes.
Broncos Chargers
I
is a
think
good
it's
game.
Chiefs, Bengals early, Arizona, Dallas
Yeah. Is
late.
that where you are? Lions Seahawks lates too. I mean, Rams Ravens.
Yeah, that was our game.
What is it? The Ravens falling apart that took you out of that?
No. That we switched out of Seattle and the Rams 2 weeks ago to do Green Bay at Baltimore, and we basically replaced it with a Dallas game.
Gotcha.
We haven't done a ton of Dallas this year.
You haven't done
Nor
any Tampa.
Right. So the network.
This is like I need a lot of things to break in my direction here. I need a 2 seed for what? I need some money.
Oh, gotcha. Right. You want 2 home games. Gotcha. Yeah. Well, you need the Rams to lose. You need Baltimore to beat the Rams. You need a Rams loss. You're good. That's all you need. You need one thing.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Hope you had a great weekend, and thanks for starting your week off with us, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Obviously, a lot of football and not a whole lot else. I mean, that is interesting with COVID rearing its ugly head again. It's just, I mean, college hoops for the holiday always takes off. NHL always takes off the 3 days around Christmas. But they're supposed to be playing 14 games tonight. Nope. They're all postponed. We're going to push this off till Tuesday and cross our fingers and see that everything's okay. The NBA has got teams canceling their games, not like the NHL, but they're dealing with it. Meanwhile, the NFL, full steam ahead, baby.
No matter who's on the field.
Right? 3 truck drivers and an accountant. That's okay. Let's go. Hey, you were on their practice squad last week. How about you start for us this week?
Yeah, I mean, this is like Belichick's dream. So many players switching teams week to week.
Seriously, we had 2 guys on practice squads a week ago with other teams who started games this week. Josh Johnson for the Ravens and Jake Fromm for the Giants, even though they really don't count. They're barely in the league. You know, if we had what you and I wanted, they could get relegated. I mean, the Giants would be a prime relegation candidate.
They're not even close. I mean, that's the thing, David. I know you keep saying that. Jacksonville is a full 2 clear games worse.
Well, they're 3rd worst. I mean, I think they've got 3rd or 4th pick of the draft
5th.
right now.
They're actually the best team of the 4-11 teams.
Oh, that's depressing.
Because of the strength of schedule of their opponents.
Well,
right now, Houston holds the 3rd pick. The Jets hold the 4th. The Giants, the 5th. The Giants also have the 8th pick via Chicago. The Jets also have the 6th pick via Seattle.
So the Jets are picking 3-6 right now. The Giants are picking 5-8.
Correct.
Wow. It's 2 bad franchises. They need the players, I'll tell you that. So Jacksonville right now scheduled to be the 1 and Detroit the 2.
Yes.
Battling it out. I will say there's now clear separation, though, right? Everybody else has at least 4 wins.
Correct.
So it's basically going to be those 2 battling for the first overall pick. Congratulations to them.
Yeah, I mean, one more loss for either makes sure it guarantees those 2 teams.
And let's face it, when you've won 2 games all year, there's a real good chance you're going to lose one of your last 2.
Oh, there's a good chance you're going to lose both.
Right.
Obviously. But Jacksonville, I think Jacksonville has the Patriots this week, too. So.
Oh, well, you know, they had the easy ones the last 2 weeks. They had Houston and the Jets. The schedule maker did all they could for them.
Thought they were going to get the Jets. I really did.
Well, they were driving late.
Both those games, you were right. You took the Jets and Atlanta in the 2 dogs, and I took Detroit and the Jags and missed on both.
I will say, though, when I picked Baltimore over Cincinnati, Hundley, at least, was at the time I picked, Hundley had not yet tested positive for COVID. Not that it would have made a difference because this just in, Joe Burrow just threw for another first down. But, I mean, at least they would have had a fighting chance, I guess. But Josh Allen carried the Bills yesterday, and Joe Burrow carried the Bengals. I mean, for as much as Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady are the old guard and the staples in this league, and, no offense, Dallas, no offense, Rams, I mean, you're going to have to go through one, if not both of the bays to get it done in the NFC, and they may be the two best teams in the league. But, boy, Mahomes now doesn't even feel like a young quarterback anymore. He's been around so long. But you think about, we could get 10 years of Burrow and Josh Allen.
I love it, David. I love it, what you just said. I'm going to challenge you on what you just said. Well, the Tampa Bay and Green Bay, they're maybe the best two teams in the league right now. And Kansas City, and then you threw the and Kansas City. They've just won 8 in a row.
Right.
They're destroying anything in their path right now.
They are.
They look exactly like a team that should be favored to win the Super Bowl right now. And you just gave them a little pat. And I get it, because Tampa Bay and Green Bay, Rodgers and Brady, everything about that is sexier. And I hope to goodness we get the two of them playing one another in an NFC championship. But if there is a clear-cut favorite to the Super Bowl right now, it's the Kansas City Chiefs, and it ain't close.
Nope. They've earned it. They were 3-4 at one point, haven't lost since. Have won 8 in a row. Sexy little game coming up this Sunday. Thank you very much.
They get the Bengals and the Broncos to finish the season. Both on the road, by the way.
Really? Kansas City at Cincinnati.
Who would have thunk it?
Boy, imagine being a Bengals fan. Hold on, wait a second. Wait, we're playing big games late in the year? We're playing big games in January? Wait, they're sending the A team to our game? I mean, it's like back in the day when Madden and Summerall showed up at your game, and you're like, they haven't done one of our games in 8 years. It's exciting.
So, yeah, they'll have the Nance Romo crew, the Nance Romo Wolfson crew for Cincinnati hosting Kansas City.
And Buffalo, making up for that Monday nighter, they were an angry team yesterday. They were talking from the first play of the game. They were angry at themselves. They were taking it out on the Patriots. They were letting New England know about it.
And the way Buffalo played yesterday, and if, just if, Tennessee gets back Derrick Henry, because, I don't know, the other receiver looked okay since he came back.
Yeah, A.J. Brown's pretty good.
Yeah, this just did.
Right. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I think Tennessee's the sneakiest team heading into the postseason.
Well, here's the interesting thing also about matchups. Like right now in the AFC, Kansas City's the 1, Tennessee's the 2, Cincy's the 3. Now, obviously, the Bengals have a tough finishing stretch here, and they need to win one of them to win the division. Home against the Chiefs, that ain't easy. And the Chiefs have to keep winning because they're in the same situation as Green Bay. If they lose one of their last two, the team that's the 2 seed has the better conference record or the tiebreaker. Tennessee beat the Chiefs. Tennessee, with a Chiefs loss, if they win their last 2, would be the 1.
And theoretically, Tennessee has a home game against Miami, a team that they should beat, and then they travel to Houston. And despite Houston's great performance yesterday, the clear-cut favorite's going to be Tennessee in those 2 games.
Now, I believe Tennessee only needs one more win to win the South.
Yeah, but
I know.
Kansas City, they can't rest players with Kansas City going to Denver who could be playing for a playoff spot, theoretically.
Correct. But so right now, KC's the 1, Tennessee's the 2, Cincy's the 3. So the way it would shape up, is it fair to say this morning, if you asked people to name the 2 best teams in the AFC, that the 2 highest vote getters would be Kansas City and Buffalo? Is that a fair statement or no?
Yes.
Well, that's a 1-4 matchup. The other thing is right now, the 4 seed plays the 5 seed, and the Indianapolis Colts are now the 5.
just hear the first round matchups and tell me what home team you think is the clear-cut winner. I'd vote Tennessee, but Tennessee's playing Baltimore right now. Cincinnati's playing the New England Patriots, and Buffalo's playing Indianapolis.
So congratulations, Buffalo. You now are the favorites to win the AFC East, and you do have two games that you will be heavily favored in. I think double-digit favorites in both of your last two. But your reward could be a first-round game with the Colts, a second-round game at Kansas City. I mean, you look right now to have the toughest draw of the quote-unquote favorites. And also, right now in the NFC, if the Rams don't lose another game and we end up with that three-way tie between Dallas, the Rams, and Tampa, well, Dallas and the Rams are the 2-3, Tampa's the 4, and what does that mean? That means Tampa, after winning the wild card game at home against presumably Arizona, will then have to go to Green Bay.
Well, no, they'll have to go to Dallas because San Francisco will beat the Rams like they always do, and San Francisco will get green. Here's the irony of this. In this scenario, I could draw it away where Dallas is the home team all the way through. Because who do the Green Bay Packers not want to play more than anybody else? The San Francisco 49ers.
Well, if the Cleveland Browns could average 9 yards a carry and the Baltimore Ravens with a backup quarterback could run the way they did while behind as effectively as they did the week before, Green Bay is susceptible once again to a power running game.
And I think the Rams would be vulnerable. I mean, they'll probably be favored against San Francisco, but that's a division game. That's a tight game.
But right now, those are your seedings and those are your playoff matchups. Miami with a win tonight vaults from the 11 seed to the 7 seed in the AFC. And beginning tonight, the Dolphins know they control their destiny, even if that's a bit of a strange wording. Miami knows if they win out, they're in the playoffs. Vegas knows if they win out at 8-7, they're in the playoffs. The Chargers do not control their destiny at 8-7. The Ravens do not control their destiny at 8-7. But the Raiders and the Dolphins do. Interesting. I think also right now Philly controls their destiny in the NFC for the 7 seed. And boy, are the Eagles rooting for the Dolphins tonight.
Right.
Philly be all alone at 8-7 with a 1-game lead for the 7th seed. And I think they'd only need to win one of their last
and
two.
And they've got Dallas the final week, Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And Washington next week.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting what's going on in these cities who have quarterback situations. All right. And whether or not Russ has played his last game in Seattle coming up here, Jimmy G in Frisco, very interesting what's going on.
Let's get to all of them on the other side and perhaps maybe pick some destinations for the departing quarterback.
Well, I'll tell you what, after playing in the snow yesterday and losing to the Bears, you got to think at some point Russ is sitting on the sidelines going, there's got to be someplace else I can play. Miller and Moulton, the
When's Brady retiring?
Right. Florida Sports Network.
Whip Golf and Fitness Power Peel at Home training system. This complete body and swing trainer uses resistance band connection system to fix bad habits and ingrain a more consistent, powerful swing. The Power Peel system is powered by functional golf swing training technology. It trains both your swing and body at the same time. Simply make a few prescribed resistant band connections, and in a few steps on the peel, you'll swing better, feel better, and play better. Use it before your round of warm-up, as your daily fitness routine, or anytime you want to feel and train the swing you've always wanted. Pair the Power Peel with the Orange Whip Golf and Fitness at Home training technology, available with a monthly membership, and maximize your results with Golf Fitness X coach-led programs that take less than 20 minutes a day. Buy the Power Peel training bundle now for 4 interest-free payments of $115 by going to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10. That's code Miller10 to save $45. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to save $45 and play better golf. Go to orangewhipgolf.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
almost all of them are on. Oh, you're on Twitch today. That's right. So. Well, no, not MVP, but Adam, I will say David Mills right now is playing the best out of any of the rookie quarterbacks. And I'm not saying he is the best. I'm saying he's playing the best at this point. This play, unflippin' believable.
Play the game.
The other run he had for a first, oh, that was the one, yeah, he pinballs me. No, there was another run he had up the middle where he could have slid, and instead he just bounced off two guys and got another first down. Oh, absolutely, Noreen. Yeah. And and to Philly's credit, when he got the job, he accepted the job, and literally the next day he's like, "Hey, I got to ask you something." And he was petrified. And he's like, "Hey, can I still go on vacation after Christmas?" I'm like, "Go on your vacation. We'll figure it out."
Yep. Noreen, who knows anymore? It's not like it used to be in terms of seniority and vacations and all that. It's just different now. Well, Noreen, we'd like to think we are just because we've been in everybody else's shoes. So we are pretty understanding. I figured you would.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
20 minutes before the hour, our final segment in Tampa St. Pete on this Monday morning. Hope everybody had a good holiday weekend. And whether you're working this week or only working part of the week or have the whole week off, thanks for spending part of it with us, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network.
We're only working part of it. A 4-dayer.
Yeah. Got Friday off.
And then it's game on.
Yeah, for a long time.
Then it's game on.
Right. Our poll question, by the way, is gauging your interest now that it's more than a one-off. Last year was a one-off. NFL threw the Vikings and Saints on Christmas Day and said, hey, what do you think? You guys said, oh, all right, I'll watch. So they said, all right. Let's see how into this you really are. Gave you 2 games this year. Pretty good games. Cleveland at Green Bay, Indianapolis at Arizona, even though it was an NFL Network only game. So we asked the question, do you think NFL games on Christmas should be an annual tradition, a la Thanksgiving? And so far, 60% of you say yes. Our buddy Roy Cummings chimed in, Mark.
Yeah, I saw that he liked your tweet. I did not see if he answered it.
Well, my answer, because I vote, but I also give an explanation. Right. I let people know what my vote is and sometimes a short explanation. And my vote was no, but it's happening. And Roy liked it, but then he chimed in and said, I argued for years that the week of Christmas should be an automatic bye week for everyone. Perfect opportunity for players and coaches to take a much-needed mental, physical break just before the playoffs. And most importantly, no one has to spend Christmas away from their family.
That's so cute. That is so nice. Gosh, I think we should all just give one another a hug. Wow. That was, in 1955, that is a terrific answer, Roy, and I appreciate it. In today's world, we have these things called televisions, and we have big companies that want to make big money. This is it's not even 11 billion. That's baseball. How many billions of dollars annually is the NFL?
Well,
no.
Okay, minimum, and in a really bad day, it's 18 billion, but it's really now thought of as about a $22 billion industry, a chance with the new Amazon deal and whatever they're going to do with Sunday Ticket to take it to close to 25.
And that is the reason that I don't care if these guys have to miss out on a Christmas with their families. I think it sucks for you. I think it sucks for the employees of the Green Bay Packers. There are a lot of people who I feel terribly for having to work the holidays. The athletes and the coaches are not any of them. The broadcasters aren't any of them. They're all really well compensated. There are a lot of other people that should get a little more. It would be nice if Fox, the NFL, CBS was writing some checks to, the people who don't get paid a ton of money to work these games. But Roy's thing so that the players can all spend time with it. I'll be bah humbug on that one.
Wow. Are you ever? Surprisingly so. Big bulging eyes from Raj across on the other side of the glass. Raj, who's barely paying attention in the show, but boy, you got him to just sit up straight in his chair as if to say, what a blankety blank you are.
Just being honest.
I love this back to back in our Twitch chat room. Pville, that yearly event should become an annual tradition. Pop and Jake, yeah, I didn't watch any football on Christmas. You said you watched 4 plays of the Browns Packers?
About that.
All right. So, and I think whether or not you watched this Saturday is really your answer. Because come on, let's be honest. It was on at 4:30.
And a good game.
And a good game on paper and a better game.
A lot of players that we know.
One
Hall of Fame quarterback, one commercial Hall of Fame quarterback.
One who's very polarizing. Wow.
I root for Baker. I am rooting for Baker. That's why I asked you, did he really suck? That was a question I asked you before we got here at 5:30, our normal time, and we're kind of just catching up. And I'm like, so does Baker suck?
And I said, it's impossible to tell because He's got a harness on his left shoulder, which is clearly affecting him. Clearly. And I thought Troy Aikman made a tremendous point in which he said, well, look, when you've got a harness on your left shoulder, he said, I have no idea how you throw to your left. He goes, I really don't, because you need to open up your shoulders a certain way. He goes, that harness is literally dragging your left shoulder down. He goes, I don't know how you can throw the ball accurately to your left.
David, because I didn't watch, and my follow, if I'm Joe there, and if I'm you, my follow-up question to that is, could that affect his throwing motion when the harness comes off? You know, essentially, if you take the same god-awful golf swing over and over, muscle memory becomes repetitious,
Right.
and you can't get away from it. I would be curious in that same thing, when you talk about opening that shoulder up to throw, well, when the harness comes off, is that going to be a natural thing, does he think, or does he think this could have lasting effects past the harness?
All right. I'll ask him. We're not going to have a Browns game the rest of the year, but I'll ask him. My guess would be, since he'll have a whole off season, get the shoulder fixed and all that it won't. But you're right. I mean, that's how bad habits, many a bad habit has been formed because of an injury from many an athlete in numerous sports. But, and then, you know, obviously, you know, the whole Rodgers thing, I don't know. Maybe it's because some of us think this really is coming to an end. Like he only has one more home regular season game, and then at most, you know, 2 playoff games. So, you know, I mean, you do look around and you see all these Packer fans, and you do just want to say, just so you know, all right, none of you can remember, okay? But when you watch the rest of the NFL, that's going to be you beginning next year. You do know that, right? And there's no way the football gods are going to let Jordan Love work out. I'm just telling you, there's not enough favor that you guys have curried in order to have Jordan Love be a really good NFL quarterback. I mean, the gods are lining up to make him suck.
You sure Aaron's not going to be the starting quarterback in Green Bay next year?
Am I sure? No. But Andrew Brandt believes he's not going to be in Green Bay next year, and nobody knows more about this story and has been more right about it than our buddy Andrew Brandt.
And no one has a better idea of the inner workings of the Green Bay Packers than Andrew Brandt.
So,
I mean, that is
and he
one
has
side
been
of it.
Very consistent in saying he was going to show up at a certain date, he was going to play great this year, and then he was going to be traded to an AFC team. And the one thing we pointed out last week, there were 6 NFL franchises that did not have a Pro Bowler. 5 of them are the 5 worst teams in the league. And the 6th was the Denver Broncos.
By the way, you know, you just pointed out they're going to trade him to an AFC team. And I'm not trying to derail what we're doing on the show, but I discovered something on Christmas Day. That the way the Packers treated Favre on the way out is why my mother doesn't like the Green Bay Packers. Out of nowhere, I really don't like Green Bay. Okay, why? Well, just the way they treated Brett Favre on the way out. They just, you know, trade him here, do this, not what he wanted. I didn't like that. Well, thanks for holding that in for a decade, Mom. I really appreciate it.
Wow.
But you know, I only shared that because you, of all people, love anyone that can hold a grudge for the smallest of reasons.
Absolutely. I love it. I love everything about it. My grandmother hated John Elway to her dying day. Why? Because he wouldn't play for the Colts.
It just takes, sometimes it's just one little thing that can set off someone.
My grandfather about Ali. I mean, as a proud Army man, my grandfather could not, trust me, tried. Only had the discussion with him 113 times. I went 0 for 113. Didn't even get a good solid majority draw out of it. Nope. Mm-mm. So I love it. Absolutely. I can respect that.
You can chime into the show. You can call the text line, or not call it, because calling the text line wouldn't make a lot of sense. You can text the text line. You text FSN Radio to 21,000. The keyword FSN Radio, all one word, to 21,000. If you want to chime in on the poll question, you want to chime in about the NFL weekend, you want to chime in on whether or not David's going to go to the Sun Bowl. All things that can be talked about. When I saw the Sun Bowl trending on Twitter, David, I went, ooh, this is good news. But it's not.
Could be, though.
It could be good news.
It could
I
be.
think SMU, by the way, for the record, I think SMU will be Washington State's opponent in the Sun Bowl.
Memphis, SMU, and East Carolina have all had their bowl games canceled. Memphis was in Hawaii, ready to play Hawaii in a bowl game in Hawaii. When less than 24 hours before kickoff, Hawaii canceled. So they enjoyed the Christmas vacation in Hawaii and then presumably flew home yesterday. And now, I mean, you prepared for a bowl game, you didn't get to play it. I don't think everyone's dispersed yet, have they? I mean, can't you just text everybody and go, hey, flight's leaving Tuesday at 10 o'clock. We're going to El Paso. We're getting ready to play.
Look, I think they can. I'm guessing coaches can text players rather rapidly. I think this is easy. Hey, guys, you want to play some football? And I think for all, like Memphis and SMU, giving you Washington State, boys, Pac-12 team.
Well, also, and I know it's not a big deal to most everyone, but when you're a group of 5 team, as Memphis, SMU, and East Carolina are, you don't get 4 hours on CBS very often. And it's not because it's CBS. You don't get 4 hours on ABC, NBC, Fox either. This is New Year's Eve with a captive audience. 4 million people are going to watch this game minimum. You haven't had 1 million people watch any of your games in the last 10 years.
Oh, no. If I'm East Carolina, I'm on the phone right now. If I'm the Sun Bowl, I'm trying to get Memphis or SMU.
Agreed.
Just proximity seems easier. Logistics seems like you could pull this off.
Even though I think East Carolina might be better than Memphis this year, but
who can I get to El Paso as quickly as possible, David? I don't care if it's a high school team at this point.
A couple of things have come up with the bowls this year, coupled with last year. Going forward, if you're running a bowl game, are you going to have to come up with NIL money to get some of the better players to play? The Kenny Pickett's of the world, the Walkers of the world. Is there enough money that you can come up with, or even to keep some of the other players?
There you go. I don't think there's a way to keep Pickett and Kenneth Walker in the Peach Bowl. These, first off, Pickett's going to be a top 15 pick. Walker could get drafted in the first round. Worst case scenario, he's a Friday draft pick. And he's a running back. I couldn't, as his agent, advise him to even ever think about playing in the game. But for a bunch of offensive and defensive linemen, David, that are running out of eligibility, that are draft potential, I think that's a hell of an idea.
And or insurance to go with it. Like the way to maybe get the Picketts and the Walkers of the world is to say, hey, we've got an insurance policy taken out on you. If you get hurt, you get $10 million. I mean, I'm wondering, because these lesser bowls, let's face it, we said this was coming. You know, once Fournette and McCaffrey did it, we knew this was coming. Guys, more and more guys are opting out. Hell, we got more and more guys who are transferring. Also, is this a way even to keep certain quarterbacks from, like Max Johnson of LSU? Hey, play one more game with LSU before you transfer.
There's $5,000 in it for you.
Or there's $50,000 in it for you, or whatever. I'm just wondering if you're the lesser bowls, and for that matter, Mark, who knows what we're going to be dealing with a year from now. But, you know, these communities and sponsors and television networks are losing out on a lot. If you're these bowl games who are supposedly not for profits, are you going to have to start offering up some guarantees? Because there's a lot of people losing a lot of money when these games are getting canceled.
Maybe you don't have to guarantee your CEO a $750,000 paycheck to do absolutely nothing. That would be my first start. But the other side of it, David, what I would love to see, how about instead of NIL money, we're playing bowls and winner gets like the old All-Star games, where they're playing for what they make.
Ooh, you mean the winner of the Pro Bowl gets $10,000 and the losers all get $5,000?
You got it. Now some intrigue in a bowl game. First game for money for these kids? Oh, yeah.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M, only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I've really tuned out, but I don't get it. But I will say this goes back to, if you're so right, how come you lose so always? Because they're lining themselves up to do it right now. At least it looks that way from where I
I'll
sit.
say this: it's why I think it's going to change. Guess is they're going to have.
Oh,
Okay?
yeah.
Here's my guess: in 2020, it was a winning stance, and for a good chunk of 2021, it was
Okay.
a winning stance, and it's what I campaigned on.
What on God? There is, this would be one of the best stories I've ever had in my life. Oh my God. I couldn't. The other stories I have are pretty good, but some lady had a birthday party at one of those Build-A-Bear places and then made all the kids give the bears to the girls whose party it was.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Minute and a half past the top of the hour, the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Chime into the show by texting, whether it be FSN Radio to 21,000. If you have already, then send us what is on your mind, especially Dolph fan, in which, let's face it, you didn't think you'd be playing a big game the rest of the year. And now you're playing a big game tonight. Because if you win out, you're in. Plain and simple, done. You're a playoff team. Nobody can deny you. And if you're wondering why, it's because you would beat New England, final game of the year, sweeping the season series, which means you and the Patriots would be at worst tied, and you'd own the tiebreaker, so you'd finish second in the East, and you'd be in. So the Dolphins, who are 7-7, know if they win out, they're in the playoffs. Of course, it's at New Orleans, at Tennessee, and home for New England. Two winning teams and a team that has the same record as them, and they're on the road, albeit 3-point favorites tonight.
And this is set up with New Orleans as banged up as they are on their four-string quarterback for Miami to get a victory. And for those that don't like Tua to sit there and point out why he doesn't deserve to be liked. I'd like to see more Tua tonight. I want to see the progression continue. Want to be doing a show tomorrow in which Miami is in the 7 spot. I think it would be hysterical.
Well, I would love for the Dolphins to at least put themselves in the same situation they were in last year, where Miami went to Buffalo controlling their playoff fate, if you will. That if they won, they were in. And they knew there was a good chance if they lost, they'd be out. And we all know they got whacked, and that was that. And I would love, Mark, for them to put themselves in the same situation where they were 9-7, hosting the Patriots, knowing if we win, we're in, and in all likelihood, if we lose, we're out.
Now, wait a minute. I know what you're talking about there, but that means that you have Miami beating your Tannehills.
I said I would love it, and I would.
No, I know.
I would.
You're comfortable with Ryan Tannehill losing to the Miami Dolphins?
I am willing to sacrifice my love affair for Ryan Tannehill, all right, to put the Dolphins in another win and we're in scenario. I think it would be exciting. They'd be winners of 8 straight.
Oh, I'm aware of what.
I mean, we might be playing the theme song again during the week.
I mean, that is the thing. As I've tried to point out going through this and why what Miami is doing is so impressive. Now, Carolina lost their 5th straight yesterday, and Jacksonville lost their 7th straight. There is one 8-game winning streak that Kansas City has. Miami with a 6-gamer, and now there are 3 4-game winning streaks in the league. The Rams, the Cowboys, and the Green Bay Packers. Winning any sort of games over and over in this league has become next to impossible this year.
Hey, what have we seen in the last 2 weeks? Arizona went to Detroit and got whacked. That's the game that's cost them first place right now.
Right.
If they had just gone to Detroit and won, they'd be tied for first, owning the tiebreaker on the Rams.
Buffalo lost to who? Jacksonville. What's that doing to them right now?
Who did the Chargers lose to yesterday?
Houston.
A huge loss. If they were 9-6, they'd be all but in. Instead, now they probably have to win out to get in. And if you're a Dolph fan, what is the one game that right now you look back on and you go, blank?
Jacksonville.
There you go, in London. There you go.
And as I look at the Week 17 schedule, well, Jacksonville plays the Patriots. Obviously, that would be a huge shocker. The Bucs play the Jets.
And remember, Week 17 is this coming weekend. We play 17 games now, 18 weeks.
But the Bills play the Falcons. I mean, even the Titans and the Dolphins. I mean, the Titans are expecting to win, but it's not as bad. Philadelphia plays Washington. I bring these games up because those are those four, Eagles and Washington, Bucs and Jets, Jags and Patriots, Falcons and Bills. If there was an upset, that would be catastrophic to the good football team, if you will.
Yeah.
But they've been happening.
Yes, they have, almost on a weekly basis here lately. In part because injuries, COVID. Also, certain teams are getting better. Detroit's a much better team the second half of the year than they were the first half. So's Houston.
Have to say that the Lions, the Texans, I mean, as you mentioned, no one quits playing in this league anymore.
It's really difficult to find. I mean, even the Giants, the one side of the ball hasn't quit. Now, they are historically bad on offense right now. It is staggering, and it is a complete indictment of the organization from top to bottom. They haven't quit. They just suck. I mean, it's difficult to find. Name me the team that you think's quit. Have the Jags quit?
No,
they're bad.
They're a bad football team. The Lions certainly haven't quit. Houston obviously just showed they haven't quit. The Jets won. Carolina's playing as hard as they can play. They're pathetic.
Are you sure about that? That is actually one team, ever since they fired Joe Brady as offensive coordinator, that situation has gone right down the tube.
Well, they are. I don't know who's worse offensively.
Carolina or the Giants?
Yeah, I think that they are pathetic. You lose McCaffrey not playing. They don't have much there. They have no quarterback. David, I think you could take the two offenses of the Giants and Panthers, and I don't know how good of an NFL offense you have. No, I'm being serious. Take the best of other. How good are you?
So what you're saying is, if we take an all-star unit amongst those two teams and put them on offense, could they get to 17?
Probably 17, but I don't think they can get to 24.
I know they can't get to 24. But don't know that anybody's quit. There are other sports in which I think we see more quitting, more laying down. I think in part because those seasons are quote unquote longer. And the shelf life and the non-guaranteed contract life that is the NFL.
Bingo. You're in the NBA and you're in the NHL. I got my contract next year. I can take game 64 off. In fact, there was an old minor league player that I worked with the first year of the Everblades here, David. And he had played mostly at a higher level. And it was always game 54. You can take that one off. Because he played for a coach who says, game 54, guys, you can take that one off. That was always his little, because in an 80-game season, it just gets, guys, you can't take a night off, but you can take game 54 off. And it was always a little joke, because when game 54 came, the team would be fired up because it was just their little inside locker room joke. But in 80 games, yeah. But in 17, it's very different.
Yeah, and it's very noticeable. That is for sure. But the Dolphins with a big game tonight. And let's face it, this is a winnable game. I mean, they're favored by 3, whether you think they should be or not. The next 2 games, certainly at Tennessee, they're going to be a clear underdog. I mean, I think they'll be about a 6.5-point dog at Tennessee. And it could be more if they lose tonight. But I'm assuming give them a win tonight. They're on a 7-game win streak. Miami at Tennessee, I think the line's 6.5.
Seems fair.
So obviously not expected to win. But, you've played yourself to this point. It's not a good matchup, though. It isn't. Like, do you think they'll be able to run the ball at all on New Orleans?
No.
They did run it a touch last week. It was the first time you felt that Tua had, he's got a little bit of a running game.
First time he's had a 100-yard rusher in a game he started, right?
What? Yes.
I mean, it's the first time he's had a guy run for 100 yards when he started, but I know he's pond scum and can't play. Has no line, no running game.
But you figure they're going to be, 40 passes tonight, many of them of the Chuck and Duck variety.
Absolutely.
Not going to have a lot of time.
I think Gaskin could have more yards catching the ball than he does running the ball tonight, if you know what I mean.
And because so many passes are going to be so close to the line of scrimmage, and New Orleans is a very aggressive defense. Like, I actually think Miami needs to take shots early in this game downfield. They have got to loosen up the Saints. The Saints jump routes. Very aggressive secondary. I got to try to double move them, slant and go, or just run a couple goes and let them know, hey, we're going to test you downfield.
Problem with double moves is that takes what? Time in the pocket, of which Tua doesn't have. I'm hoping they move him around a lot. Anytime you're able to move quarterbacks, it's better. But I said it to you before, David. If they get to 20, they win.
I think so. Now, it would be nice if they get to 20 and they don't give away 7 with a turnover or special teams or what have you.
That's the other problem, is that Tua has nearly every game throwing a pick that he shouldn't. And if you could tell me that Tua turns it over once, I say they win. More than that, they lose.
I don't even know if they can afford the one tonight. I think it's a one-score game. I think it's low scoring. I think it's close. I don't expect a whole lot out of Ian Book in that Saints offense at all.
I expect it to look more like a Taysom Hill offense than it looks like with anybody else than Simeon or whatever. I think he's going to run it a few times. He'll be moving around.
I think you'll see a lot of, play action, little boots, rolls, a lot of screens.
Put it this way. I think Ian Book's going to run one option tonight to Kamara.
But can the Dolphins get it done tonight? They have played their way into the hunt.
Right. And I know Book's not a runner, but I think they've got to do anything they can to try to get first downs, if you know what I mean.
But he's got pretty good mobility.
Yeah.
He is athletic, and Peyton will use it.
Right. I don't look at him as a Josh Allen or even a Taysom Hill, but I think you're going to have to make him do some things that are out of the ordinary, if you will.
But, Mark, that even when the Dolphins won their 6th straight last week, I said, to me, they are not in the hunt.
No, I know.
Because there was way too much stacked up ahead of Miami. The Dolphins had almost a perfect storm weekend. Everybody lost they would have wanted to lose except for the Raiders. They would have, if they had their druthers, they would have picked Denver winning the battle of 7-7 teams against the Raiders, because the Dolphins lost to the Raiders head-to-head, and Denver has a woeful conference record.
Vegas says tonight's game will be Miami 20, New Orleans 17. The over-under is 37, and the Dolphins are a 3-point favorite. Yes, this is the NFL, folks. We also have the good, the bad, and the ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. Still ahead, we'll give our predictions on the Monday night game on the other side. You're listening to Miller and Moulton right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Peel at Home Training System. This complete body and swing trainer uses resistance band connection system to fix bad habits and ingrain a more consistent, powerful swing. The Power Peel system is powered by functional golf swing training technology. It trains both your swing and body at the same time. Simply make a few prescribed resistant band connections, and in a few steps on the peel, you'll swing better, feel better, and play better. Use it before your round of warm-up, as your daily fitness routine, or anytime you want to feel and train the swing you've always wanted. Pair the Power Peel with the Orange Whip Golf and Fitness at Home training technology, available with a monthly membership, and maximize your results with Golf Fitness X coach-led programs that take less than 20 minutes a day. Buy the Power Peel training bundle now for 4 interest-free payments of $115 by going to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10. That's code Miller10 to save $45. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to save $45 and play better golf. Go to orangewhipgolf.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So the show recordings aren't exactly broken down into
That's all right.
hours.
Yeah,
It'll be in 3 segments, but it's
fine.
all right.
That's fine.
Okay.
We can just do part 1, part 2, and part 3 today.
Exactly.
Works for me.
All right. The first 2 parts are a little longer.
That's
but-
fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right.
No worries.
So I'm guessing Christmas Eve and Christmas are company holidays, and so everybody got
Yeah, they got
Friday
today off.
and then today's off. for
That's
Christmas.
right.
One year we didn't get Eve off. Remember, we were pissed.
That is so great. I don't know who this dude is. I don't know if he's a former. So Billy Corbin tweets out a picture of, in Miami, we don't have real reality, we have realty. And if all you had to sell is lies, truth is the enemy. And it's I don't know who this is, Manny Chasmo. I don't know who he is, but somehow, but the guy starts challenging, Billy of why he even lives here.
Yeah.
Hang on, I got to get the tweet. It's just so money. So I looked at, you're not forced to, you're, Y-O-U-R, not forced to live here, man. Just take that negativity elsewhere. You have been blah, 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 blah. First reply back from someone who pays attention says, Manny, it's your apostrophe. And Billy says, Barbara, he's a realtor.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
"20 minutes past the hour, the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on this final Monday of the year, the Monday after the Christmas holiday. Hope you all had, well, a nice weekend. And for some of you who are still spending time with family, great. Soak it up. I think if anything, in the last couple of years especially, we have all treasured our time a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm guessing, you just brought that up. This is the holiday day. This is your Christmas holiday. If the eve was the actual day, you got the 27th, not the 23rd.
Yeah.
I would have opted for the 23rd.
So
If given the choice, if they told me I could have Thursday or Monday, I'd have probably taken Thursday and gone to work today. Main reason is that today is the biggest grab-ass day of the year. You're just chatting. How was your weekend? How was your weekend? How was your Christmas? What'd you eat for dinner? All that stuff. So you got the 2 hours of morning covered just with general BSing.
You kind of gave yourself away there. Just how insincere your cliche conversation really is. I mean, that's what I think you showed everyone there.
Actually, I have no problem with the cliche conversation. You are the actual one who despises it.
Absolutely despises
You
it.
won't do it.
Only with people I like.
And even then, it's 50-50 proposition.
Yeah, because I look at them kind of like, come on, you know me. I mean, why
are we
doing this?
past this?
All right. Also, here's the thing. I'm genuine. When I ask you, how are you doing? I actually want to know. It's not a, hey, how you doing?
Good.
Right. No, I want to know. Like, it's the holiday. I haven't seen you for 4 days. How you doing?
Yeah, and typically 5:30 after a holiday weekend is not the best time to ask me because I want to be in a good mood for the show.
Right. Well, you walked in with your 3 coffees. I at least let you finish one before I start asking you about things.
It's a fair point.
And you usually run out sometime before the bonus hour, right?
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah.
I was checking to see if there's nobody in the building.
Right.
Because I'm afraid to touch anything here.
Yes, with good reason.
Right. I'll flush the toilet and wash my hands. But all I do in this whole building.
Thanks for sharing.
Well, at least I wash my hands.
Yes, we do. Yes, there were a lot of things we did not do. There were a lot of protocols we did not follow. All right, during our first act here. All right, that was one that we did. That I can say. Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network. A few people in our Twitch chat room that are saying, you know what? I'm actually fired up about this Monday night game because I think it's going to be an ugly game, by the way. I hope you like your defense. I hope you like your, a successful drives, a first down, and a punt, because I think you're going to get a lot of it. I hope I'm wrong. But, I mean, a fourth-string rookie making his first start, and the Dolphins, who have an offensive line and a running game that do not match up at all. I mean, you saw what the Saints just did to the Bucs, for goodness sakes.
I love the Saints tonight for what it's worth. I really do. I don't care that it's Ian Book. I don't know if Miami's going to get to 16 tonight. And if I'm a Dolphin fan, I am scared to death that Tua is going to hand New Orleans 7 points, because he damn near does it every game. And I am a damn near Tua apologist at this point. I just think we have to give the guy enough games to make an accurate decision. There is one moment, there is one all blank moment every game that Tua plays. And in a game with this good of defense, does that moment cost you points? And if it does, that could be the end for Miami tonight.
I'll be very impressed if Tua can play a game tonight without a turnover against this defense.
Against this defense, right.
I mean, come on now. You've seen what they do to Tom Brady and the Bucs weapons regularly. I mean, think about what a difficult matchup this is for the Dolphins offense. This is a bad matchup. Like next week against Tennessee, not the worst matchup in the world. Not an imposing defensive front. A team that struggles to get off the field on third down. It's not the worst matchup in the world to play Tennessee next week. New Orleans this week? Oh, boy.
Put it this way, I'll take the under right now. 37, and I'll go under.
Could I talk you into a teaser? If you like the Saints so much, do you
like the Saints, I'd be taking the Saints plus 9.
Right, teasing it up 6 points.
And
teasing the over-under up to 43.
43, and take the under. That to me, if there were a time, and that means Miami should win by, 25 points, and the game will be high scoring. But if I were to logically bet this, I would take the Saints. I'd tease it. I'd take the Saints plus 9. I'd tease it up, and I'd take the under at 43.
And granted, this is not a Drew Brees-led upper echelon Saints team, but we did see just last week what they are capable of doing. And so if Miami could go in there and win, I don't want to hear that it was Ian Book. And listen, did you see the quarterback play they got last week? Please. Like, Ian Book couldn't have performed at the level.
By the way, in that Bucs Saints game, just so you have actual numbers, because I pulled them up for us, David. Taysom Hill was 13 of 27 for 154. He carried the ball 11 times for 33 yards.
So he was responsible for 187 yards of offense.
On 38 plays.
Any turnovers?
Don't know if he fumbled, because it doesn't have that, where I just grabbed it quickly, but he didn't throw a pick.
There you go. There you go. And that's the key for Ian Book tonight, because I don't know that he's going to produce much more offense either. Winston's out hurt. Hill and Simeon are in COVID protocols. Ian Book's the guy. It's that simple. Their fourth quarterback.
And Miami, defensively, you've been playing much better.
Yep. Much more aggressively.
I would imagine you'll see a lot of that tonight. I'd be trying, because let's just say, for sake of argument, that Tua does what he does. He throws a pick at a bad time. Well, then Miami, if you're going to win, to me, you're going to have to win the turnover battle. You're going to have to create a couple. You should be able to against Ian Book. And I think you do that by being aggressive on defense, David.
Well, I would expect them to be aggressive for this reason. There's nobody the Saints have that the Dolphins don't feel they can cover one-on-one. The toughest matchup is probably Kamara, wherever they line them up or coming out of the backfield. But, I mean, come on. The Dolphins have two corners that are better than any receiver the Saints have.
Correct.
It's not like there's a healthy Michael Thomas you have to defend. So if you're the Dolphins, you could probably get very aggressive in your blitz packages here against a rookie quarterback. You would like to think Miami's going to be coming from all angles tonight, trying to force a mistake.
And you'll probably see the same thing out of New Orleans.
That's if they have to.
Right.
Because their front four may just manhandle them by themselves.
And then who is it they're going to shut down? And where does Lattimore go to stop whomever?
So intriguing game tonight, two imperfect teams, yet both very much in the playoff conversation. A reminder, Miami with a win moves into the 7th seed. Miami with a win tonight would be in the playoffs if the playoffs were next weekend. The Saints with a win moves into a tie with Philadelphia for the final playoff spot in the NFC, but the Eagles beat the Saints head-to-head. But the reason why it would be big for New Orleans, they also then move into a tie with the Niners. And New Orleans now, with the Niners blowing a game in Tennessee that they really should have won, which has everybody, by the way, bailing on Jimmy G. After everybody had just written the stories about how good Jimmy G's been for the last month. And now the Niners can do some real damage in the playoffs because Jimmy G's playing well, blah, 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 blah. All right. And then people immediately after the game on Saturday, or excuse me, on Friday, were like, hey, you got to move on from Jimmy G. I mean, should Trey Lance play the final 2 games of the year? I mean, can't win with this guy.
Right. They'll get a win before the year. They'll get an important win. And I mean, in fact, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Now, that went away from me, the 3-way tie, but I think the Niners win out. One easy one, and then they play the Rams.
You think they win out?
I think they win out.
Ooh, and let me tell you, if you're a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, you love the sound of that because all you need is a Rams loss, and you win out, you're the 2. Right now, you're the 4. You need the Rams to lose either at Baltimore or home against the Niners.
Right.
And then you become a 2 because worst case scenario, you're tied with the Cowboys and you beat them head-to-head. Miller and Moulton. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was the day when. Not a whole lot coming up tonight in sports. And our final thoughts.
Bowl cancellations coming up on What's on Tap.
Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay into the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M. Only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
In Chinatown.
Holy blank.
Wow. That's DeVito next to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's great. Oh, that's what I said. That's where I started following. They said for what it said PSA Singing in the Rain today, BBC Two. Someone retweeted it. BBC Two at 12:40. Quite possibly the greatest music of all time. And good morning, everybody. That's where I found the account. I was like, all right. Would you agree with that statement, by the way, David?
Singing in the Rain?
Best musical of all time. Greatest musical of all time.
I am so biased that it's probably difficult for me.
Where is your bias fall? Because you're more into this than I am. That's why you were.
I'm a big West Side Story guy.
Okay.
It was never turned into a movie. Well, it was a bad one. I mean, A Chorus Line. It's a great Broadway play. It was not a great musical. I have to listen. It was not better. I actually think it. Was
Okay.
Good.
I would love to see that on Broadway. Like I've never seen the play.
Oh, I'm talking about movie.
Okay, yeah, Grease would.
I thought Grease was
really terrific.
Good movie.
I agree.
It's
cheesy, but it's Grease.
Now, I didn't get into when they did the remake of Chicago, which won the Academy Award.
Right. I never saw it, so I can't.
Richard Gere.
Yep.
It had Catherine Zeta-Jones. It had, a
great cast.
It didn't work for me. But I got to be honest, I wasn't a huge fan of Chicago.
The musical?
On Broadway.
Gotcha.
So I was probably the wrong guy. Oklahoma's a good one.
Oklahoma. That's all I got for you.
That's a good one. Yeah, Buried in Bourbon, I will say people are freaking out a little bit about this. You got to remember, we got older people down here. They just don't want to get it. Got a lot of people older with health conditions, and they just don't want to get it. I did not see the new West Side Story. Music Man's good. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
"23 minutes before the hour, the home stretch of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Miami opting out of the Sun Bowl because of COVID.
Moulton is still opted in for the moment.
Got to remember, if that
When's
game,
the flight?
Well, right now it's scheduled for Thursday afternoon.
Okay.
Through Dallas, I believe. But probably we'll know by the end of business tomorrow at the latest as to whether or not the Sun Bowl is happening. And let's face it, we got the college football playoffs on Friday. Now, not to be overly cynical, but I don't think any of the 4 teams are testing for COVID. I'm sorry. I don't. Don't believe them at all. Believe they might test the coaches. Don't think they're testing a player. Can you really? I mean, I don't think. I think it's too big a business. I'm sorry. Yes. Would they put the kids' health at risk for this? Yeah, I think they would. Now, you can also debate just how much risk it is. A bunch of 18 to 23-year-olds.
But if you preface David's first statement by saying, if you think there's a risk, do you think they would put the players at risk? David and I think absolutely.
Absolutely they would.
Now, to the second question is a whole different debate. But fact of the matter is, think in terms of a university. They would think.
I think an AD would be like, I don't want to, please. If you test, then I need to know the results, and I have to report the results to the people I answered to.
So can we just not test?
Could you just not test?
You know, I got one of my late Christmas cards from an old friend of mine. She and I worked together in Nashville. She's born and raised in Cincinnati. She's back home now. Last thing on the Christmas card. We'll be in Dallas on New Year's. Can't wait to watch UC play. Do you understand how it's big for Michigan and Georgia and Alabama? Do you have any idea how big this is for a little G5 school? They ain't testing a soul.
Think about the Cincinnati sports fan, by the way, this week, which started yesterday with the win over the Ravens so that they're now in first. They haven't played in the playoffs in 6 years.
Which led to this text, David. Yesterday was effing cool. As a Bengals fan, bleep you, Baltimore. That's the way Bengal fan woke up this morning.
And I'm guessing that guy's all in Friday on the Bearcats against Alabama. And then on Sunday, the Bengals host the Chiefs to find out just how big of a boy they really are. And remember, this is all a bonus. I mean, this is a year early for the Bengals. This was not supposed to happen this year. But when you got a franchise quarterback, you know what happens, and happens quickly. Right now, it is time for...
Leave it to the oldest guy in the show, and definitely the oldest soul, to live in the past. Here's David Moulton with Today Was the Day When...
You know, Mark, I've been doing a pretty good job lately on this. You've had very few in which you're like, hey, I only need to add one thing that I found, blah, blah, blah. I have a feeling you're going to have a bunch of stuff today.
Okay. You're self-editing already?
I'm not confident that I researched today well.
All right, fair enough.
Historically, on December 27th, go back to 1932, Radio City Music Hall opened up on this day in 1932. In 1934, the Shah of Persia declared Persia is now Iran, which, of course, then immediately made him the Shah of Iran. See, that's how that works.
He would hold that job for a long time.
Yes,
I mean, he would have to get thrown out of his country.
Well, 79.
80, 79. I mean, that's a long run.
Yeah, he had 45 years.
A pretty young dude to change the name of a country and take over, right?
In 45, the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund were both established by 29 nations on this day in 45. Now, remember, coming out of World War II, and a lot of people worried can't have a takeover of stuff like we just had. So the UN came into existence, the World Bank, International Monetary Fund, all that sort of thing. On this date, 1947, Howdy Doody was telecast for the first time on NBC. This was the day in 1964 that we all heard about incessantly for generations until LeBron and company beat the Warriors in Game 7. Because it was on this date in 1964 that the city of Cleveland won their last professional sports championship when the Browns shut out the Colts 27-0. Jim Brown would play one more year. He'd go to make a movie, be late for camp. Art Modell would get angry. Jim Brown would say, fine, I retire. And it went downhill after that. Mark, on this day in 1971, the very first Fiesta Bowl was played. 50 years ago today.
Who'd we have? New Mexico State and New Mexico?
No, we did not. It will surprise you who was in the game. We had 8th-ranked Arizona State.
What? Herm! Herm, you're my school. I'm pulling for you to be back to 8.
I believe with, in their eyes, legendary coach Frank Kush, the screamer and yeller and what have you, who then got a job in the NFL and didn't quite work out. But 8th-ranked Arizona State played host to and beat Florida State.
Wow.
45-38 in the first ever Fiesta Bowl. Remember, this is pre-Bobby.
Right.
He doesn't come on board for another 5 years.
What network was it on?
Mark, it was on this date in 74 that Archie won his first Heisman. Archie Griffin of Ohio State. It's interesting, isn't it, that they waited till this late? Because it was a couple weeks ago that I said he won his second Heisman.
Right. Well, it always had been earlier than Christmas, so this was
right. In 1978, Spain became a democracy on this day. I think most of us think of Spain as a democracy. It's actually pretty early in the process. They had a dictatorship for the longest time, and then King Juan Carlos said, yeah, we're going to change this. So, Mark, it was a big day in 1979. All right, besides the fact that Knots Landing premiered on
That's
CBS.
where I thought you were going to start.
But the Red Army hockey team went into Madison Square Garden and beat the Rangers 5-2. Now, the Rangers had gone to the Stanley Cup Finals 6 months earlier. That would be the same guys who 50 days later are going to Lake Placid, mind you.
Right. And I think it was either the night before or tomorrow night, they would beat the Olympic team 10-2.
They beat them 10-3.
It wasn't that close.
It was actually like the Friday night before the Olympics.
Oh, was it that far?
It was. So that's another reason why the upset was so stunning, because it was only 2 weeks earlier that they got their butts kicked.
Okay, I thought it was in December, but yeah, you're right. I thought it was just the last game of their schedule.
So to put in perspective, I mean, this once again, why it is called the Miracle on Ice. All right. That team went to the Garden and beat the team that went to the Stanley Cup Finals 5-2.
And remember, this isn't, these Ranger teams, they're all Canadians. They did not want to lose to a Russian Red Army team. They took this very seriously.
Right. But if you want to know why we ended up boycotting, all right, the summer games in 1980, which historically Carter gets a lot of grief for. Well, on Christmas Day, the Russians invaded Afghanistan. And on this day, they killed the president, Amin. So within 48 hours' time, in and around Christmas, all right, they invaded the country and then killed the president of that country. And you could see why maybe
honk you up a little bit.
People said, this is out of line. Yeah. Right. It was on this date in 1981, Wayne Gretzky scored the 100th point of the season in their 38th game of the year. He's averaging almost 3 points a game.
It's just stunning.
Yeah. And remember, that's young Gretzky, 81. It's like his second year in the league. It was on this day in 1983 that Pope John Paul II pardoned the man who shot him.
That's turning the other cheek.
Well, that's, he does.
Kind of what they stand for.
Right. But that's putting it to the test.
I understand it, but if he doesn't, who would?
Well, that is true. A lot of pressure on him.
Darn right.
Right. But he did it so soon, though. I mean, I think this was only like a year after the shooting. Mark, it was on this day in 2000, Mario Lemieux returned to the NHL after being out of the league for over 3 years because of injuries and, 2 bouts of cancer. Lemieux returned and scored a goal and 2 assists in a 5-0 win.
Well, it was the Leafs.
I understand, but in this day in 2002, the movie Chicago was released. We actually just had a big discussion during the break about Broadway musicals and where would you rank the movie of said musical.
We did 4.5 minutes on musicals.
Chicago did win Best Picture, by the way, in 2003. And take a look at the cast. Richard Gere, Catherine Zeta-Jones. I mean, it was a remarkable cast. 14 years ago today, former Pakistani President Bhutto was assassinated.
You're only doing that for me.
I am.
Bhutto did not kill.
Right. The former PGA champion and terrific golf announcer who died way too young, Dave Marr, was born on this date in 1933. Both Mark Few and Bill Self celebrate their 59th birthdays today, Mark. I did not know
Happy
that.
birthday.
I did not know. Bill Self's hairpiece, by the way, is 23. Just Carson Palmer is 42. Is that how, that's a cheap shot, isn't it? It
is right around Christmas, but what are you going to do?
It's got a little bit of a possum appeal to it. And Rick Porcello's 33, a pretty lame birthday list today. And that, Mark, is all I have.
Huh. All right. The only thing I had for you today in 1980, just after dying, John Lennon's Starting Over goes to number 1, which I always thought was, one of the more lousy things out there. And we lost Carrie Fisher today 5 years ago.
Oh, yeah, flying back, right?
Yeah,
she was on the plane.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's all I got for you.
Okay. All right.
That's errors and omissions. And really not errors. There's no errors in this. Just there's the
omissions.
There's the occasional omission, which leads us right into.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
Well, today for the good, we go to the airport and to TSA, where Cecilia Morales is a hero. 2 months on the job as a TSA officer at the Newark International Airport, she was hearing cries for help. Working screening travelers' carry-on, she saw a distressed mother holding her non-responsive newborn. The woman performed the Heimlich on the baby, saving the baby's life. From this point forward, you are not allowed to say another disparaging words towards a TSA agent, David.
Well, especially at Newark, because let me tell you,
that's where every single gun is found trying to get into or onto an airplane.
Well, the other thing is it's usually very difficult to get their attention at Newark. I mean, that is the airport in which all the guns get through security.
Yeah.
Right? It's tough to get their attention.
For the bad, we go to Portsmouth, New Hampshire via a flight from Europe, where Gina Sheldon bought some gifts, was coming back home for her kids. She did 11 days in Italy, stopped in Paris, and then packed the bags, lots of gifts. Except for somebody somewhere took all of the gifts out of her luggage and replaced it with dog food.
Wow.
She arrived in the U.S. from her Air France Flight 334 with an old T-shirt and dog food instead of the gifts she bought her family.
Have you ever had A, anything missing from your luggage, or B, actually, like, somebody stole your luggage?
I have had my luggage misplaced for a few days. I've never had anything stolen. I know there's times back in the day where they clearly had gone through, where things were a little ruffled, and it's like, oh, that's interesting. What were you trying to find in my bag?
Right.
But no, I have never had anything stolen.
Oh, me neither.
Finally, the ugly. Disclaimer time.
Uh-oh, wow.
Cover the ears.
Okay.
Florida authorities said they found cocaine and meth wrapped around a man's Johnson during a traffic stop, but the man denied that the drugs were his. Pinellas Sheriff said they stopped a vehicle driving without lights at 4 a.m. The driver was arrested on charges of DUI and marijuana possession. They found a gun under the passenger seat, and while searching the car, discovered the drugs while searching the passenger. The man said the drugs were not his, but did not say who the drugs belonged to. And that's the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, December the 27th, 2021.
Can we just go along with his premise for a second?
Is that an 8-ball tied around your Johnson, or are you just happy to see me?
In which, if you're the officer and you keep a straight face and you go, so they're not yours. Could you care to explain to me the relationship of the person that put them there, though?
Well, they're very close.
Right.
Or it was a hooker.
There are a few games in the NBA tonight. There are actually 7. I don't know what the marquee game is. Actually, Memphis at Phoenix is probably the marquee game. Both of them have 20-plus wins. But Celtics are back below 500 after losing to Milwaukee. They try to get back to 500 with a win tonight in Minnesota. No NHL, remember. There were supposed to be 14 games tonight, and the NHL said, we need one more day. One more day before we return. The NHL played one game last Tuesday, and they have not played since, and they're scheduled not to play until tomorrow. Mark, top 25 college basketball does not really return tonight. In fact, there's only 2 games in men's college basketball and women's college basketball, both scheduled for tonight.
Hopefully, hopefully this is the exception and not the rule, because I'm very nervous about college basketball for the next 30 days, David.
Yes, as well you should be.
If we're seeing all this in bowl games, which should matter a little bit more, there's a little more financial incentive for teams, and they're canceling basketball games, I'd be very nervous the next 30 days of the college basketball season.
ESPN gives the Dolphins a 37% chance to win tonight, even though they're a 3-point favorite. Over-unders 37. Which way are you going?
I am going to take the Saints and the points. I think they win. I think it'll be an under. I think it's a really close game. I'm going to go 13-12 Saints.
That's like an old Berman prediction, just 3-2 Bears. So I like the Saints tonight as well. Miami controls their playoff destiny. Can they keep on winning and extend the winning streak to 7? We'll be back tomorrow. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets